We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
The Women's Ashes, Australia versus England.
As in comes Brunt. And there's an edge and taken. Jonathan goes. It's a fifth wicket for Catherine Brunt. And I think that'll be the declaration, surely. Yep, indeed, we are seeing Alana King joining Jess Jonathan in heading off the field. And a really special moment for Catherine Brunt. 5 wickets in a test match, likely to be her final one in Australia.
When you're in those moments, you can't replicate them. And once they're gone, they're gone. So in the last however many times I've been asked, I always say never, but I do believe this will be my last Ashes test, yes.
The Women's Ashes, Australia versus England.
Here's King bowling. Oh, struck on the pad. That looks very close. It's out. Alana King gets her first test wicket. Catherine Brunt, LBW for 1. 5 for 120 becomes 6 for 120.
Never in my wildest dreams, but as soon as Meg just threw me the ball, I was just stoked to, keep ripping them and hopefully get my first wicket, which I was very grateful for.
The Women's Ashes, Australia versus England.
Here comes Sutherland. Into Bolton, Knight driving through the offside for a glorious 4 runs through the covers. It's slightly over pitch, perhaps, but Heather Knight, in grand fashion, picks up a half-century, driving it away, raises her bat, knows there's a lot of work to do. Knight waits on 99 still, and is forward, pushing through the offside. There it is. Beats the dive of the fielder at short extra cover. Is happy with that single. She won't be happy with the situation in the game, but will and should feel an immense amount of pride at that innings. The England captain removes the helmet, waves the bat around the ground, and everywhere you look, supporters applaud what has been a superb performance.
For me, she's the best in the world. Just all round, the rate at which she scores if she wants to, even in situations like that, is next level. And I think some of the mental work that she does, like the fight that she shows, is next level too. So you can't replicate that, but she's 100% up there with the best in the world.
The Women's Ashes, Australia versus England. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital, the ABC Listen app and via the BBC.
And a very pleasant good morning to you from Manuka Oval in Canberra. Welcome to Grandstand Cricket through the ABC, through Test Match Special on the BBC. It's great to be with you after a day dominated by England's captain Heather Knight on day 2 with 127 not out. And she's been on the field for all but 13 deliveries of this Test match so far. It was horribly one-sided going into the last hour and a half on day 2 after Australia made 9, declared for 337. But then an unbroken 66-run stand between Knight and Sophie Eccleston has England just back in the hunt at 8 for 235, albeit still 102 runs behind heading into this third day. High cloud cover, sun poking through the clouds. Hopefully a very pleasant day while there's some rain forecast. Bear in mind there was yesterday. It was supposed to bucket down from about 4 p.m. and after 4 p.m. it was the brightest and warmest it had been all day. So we're not going to get negative talking about the weather, and hopefully it doesn't play a role heading into this test match. Other highlights yesterday, Alana King's first test wicket on debut and Annabelle Sutherland's first test wicket in her second test. She ended up with a twofer. So how poised is this game? Let's find out. Australian former leg spinner Kristen Beams is here, former England spinner Alex Hartley. I'm Andrew Moore. Thanks for joining us on day 3. Beamsy, very good morning to you. The sun coming down along with the occasional little raindrop, but we're going to be sweet, aren't we?
I think we're going to be sweet right from the word go, Maury, and good morning to everybody who's listening in. And I think with these conditions, the ball might swing around a little bit, so I think we might see some wickets. But the story is going to be, how long can Heather Knight dominate this Australian bowling attack, and can she put them in a position to get rid of a lot of that deficit, or is it going to be Australia out there batting very soon?
Alex Hartley, good morning to you. Lovely to see you. Yesterday we did witness, I don't care whether you talk about women's cricket or men's cricket, bearing in mind the circumstance and the fact there is some support through the conditions for the bowlers, one of these special test match centuries.
It was so good to watch. It was just grit, determination, the patience that she had to show to get that 100 while wickets were falling around her. That's why she's captain of England. You know, she is one of the best in the world, as Catherine Brunt said on that pre-match interview, and it was just incredible to see. 127, she finished off 249 deliveries. I mean, that is just, it looks slow, but that's exactly what England needed.
And the last 70 or 80 runs were almost effortless. Yesterday morning we came here with Australia 7 down, 327 on the board, and they kind of meandered off a couple of wickets.
Lost Andrew, lost you.
Those 2 wickets in the opening half hour or so, and it was kind of half an hour wasted in the game in some respects.
We've lost you, Andrew.
How important is this for Australia this morning to take these 2 wickets and alternatively for England for this partnership between Knight and Eccleston?
Yeah, really important. I think what Heather showed is how well she can kick on when she wants to and when she needs to, and I think that's exactly why she is one of the best players in the world, because the situation when she came into the crease, or at the crease, sorry, was she needed just to rebuild. So she took her time and she faced a lot of deliveries, and it looked like it was going to be a slow burner. And then the back end of the innings, when wickets started falling around her and Eccleston was at the crease, she just kicked on, started hitting boundaries. I think what we'll see today is Eccleston might play a little bit more of an aggressive role and Heather might sit in, and then when Kate Cross comes to the crease, then Heather will go for it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they go about the strike. We saw that Heather Knight had really good confidence in Sophie Eccleston to face a lot of balls. I think if the ball starts to swing around this morning and it looks a little bit difficult, I wouldn't be surprised to see Heather Knight maybe not take those singles and say, you know, I'm going to take it on, because I think we know that if that she is the one who's going to score the bulk amount of runs. But in what you're saying is correct. Kate Cross can hold a bat, so there's still a little bit there for them to say, look, she doesn't necessarily need to take all the responsibility.
What was strange, which I've never seen before, walking to the ground this morning, going past the nets, and Kate Cross batting. I was like, what are you doing? She went, I've got a bat for 4 hours, mate. I need to warm up.
Well, you've got raps on her batting. You said yesterday she's not your normal number 11.
No, I texted this morning saying, be strong, bat long, if in doubt, ramp. So there we go.
Is that an option for her?
It's a go-to.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask whether you're the one to be giving her batting advice. I'm not sure whether that's the case or not. But Sophie Eccleston was a star yesterday. 8 for 169 she came to the crease. England was under the pump. They'd had an ordinary day. No one could stick around and support Heather Knight. And she did that. She came to the crease in the 67th over and was still there at stumps after 87 over, 27 not out from 70 deliveries faced.
Yeah, she was brilliant, and she can bat. In regional cricket, she'll bat at 5. In the 100, she could bat anywhere from 3 right down to 7 or 8, because she's an aggressive batter. She can clear the boundaries with ease when she wants to. But what really impressed me yesterday was she was solid. She didn't even look like getting out, and even when she was nicking the ball to slip, she was playing it with soft hands and playing the ball down, and she knew exactly what she was doing, and she looked like 10 out of 10, really mature yesterday.
In the pre-game show, we will get to where we think this game may be headed over the next 2 days. We're at the halfway mark. Alex Hartley, Kristen Beams, Andrew Moore with you on the pre-game show. And Matthew Mott, the Australian coach, has just wandered over to have a chat with our own Brett Sprigg. Morning, Spriggy.
Thank you, Andrew. Good morning to you. Yes, the Australian coach is with me, Matthew Mott. Motty, welcome. Overall, how do you feel about where the team is placed in this game?
Oh, it's well placed. I think England obviously probably won the last session yesterday and got themselves back in the match. Obviously, with the threat of weather around, there's always the thoughts about how much cricket we're going to get in and where we need to place ourselves to be able to achieve a victory. So there's plenty to play out today, I think.
How frustrating was it not to be able to break that partnership late yesterday?
Yeah, it was. But I do think England earned the right to bat well in that last session. Heather batted extremely well. Navigated, some really good bowling from us on the wicket that was giving a bit of assistance, and she earned the right later in the day where it flattened out and cashed in like all good players do. So probably no real surprise there. They bat deep, as do we. Eccleston's a decent batter as well, so she played well. So I think the best thing about that is we didn't bleed too much, and we can come out this morning and hopefully take 2 wickets for under 30 runs and get some sort of lead.
And across the day, fielding standards were pretty high. Darcy Brown and Talia McGrath took some good catches. Were you pretty pleased with that overall?
Yeah, definitely an improvement on the last Test match. I think that was the biggest area of concern for us. I think we put down 5 or 6 chances, so you can't afford to do that in this format. When you drop good players, you pay heavily, so it was really good to see that, and we've done a lot of work on it.
With the ball, Jess Jonathan was used sparingly in the attack. Was there any real reason for that?
The fact we got 7 options, I think you can only go so far. But as the game goes on, you maybe see a bit up and down in this wicket. She'll definitely come into play. She's an experienced bowler. She'll definitely come into the game in the second innings.
Someone who wasn't used sparingly was Alana King on debut. We talk about the adjustment to long form cricket. 23 overs for her. How pleased were you with her output?
Yeah, I thought she was outstanding. I felt like she was going to take a wicket every over. I thought she bowled very well to Heather, and I think even as the game goes on, she might just pull her length back a little bit and ask a bit more of a question there around that off stump. But a great learning experience for her. Will give us some really good feedback going this second innings, and I'm sure she will be even better in the second.
Just on the management of bowlers overall and the decision not to play Megan Shute in this test match, it's been outlined for, I guess, a couple of reasons. Was it purely a World Cup preparation thing, and what sort of a role did Megan have in deciding whether she was managed or not for this test?
Yeah, there was a number of reasons, to be honest, and if being honest, she wasn't even next cab off the rank. Stella Campbell was probably next in, so we flagged this quite some time out. We've been in constant contact with everyone at the SACA about where she's at post-COVID. She went through obviously a stand-down period there, and she's had to build up gradually, so it definitely wasn't worth the risk in playing her in this format. She has got a big role to play in the next few months. Obviously, the 3 ODIs she'll be looking to play in, and a big World Cup campaign. So the risk didn't justify taking her on in this game.
If you had the opportunity and England hadn't avoided the follow-on, would you have considered enforcing it? Given you don't quite have as much time in a 4-day test match and the threat of rain is looming, is it something you would have considered, or did the conversation not get that far?
Oh, definitely conversations going on. When you're sitting on the bench and you've got time to kill, those conversations are happening all the time, as probably England were doing the same, what they would do. So I know in the last test they caught us off guard a little bit, declared straight after the follow-on. So all those sort of things come in. There's not a lot of, obviously, if we lose a lot of time in the game, we'll have to, if we get the opportunity to time our declaration. And so it's going to be a bit of a game of chess going on.
I know it's often spoken about that the team understands the burden they carry as to the future of Test cricket, or whether there is an increase to 5 days or whatever that looks like. How important is the prospect of an outright result, not only for retaining the Ashes, but I guess in keeping the spectacle alive in this Test match?
Yeah, I think both teams will want to win the Test match. The fascinating day one, 327 runs, 7 wickets, and probably could have been bowled out for 160, I guess, if England had taken their opportunity. So it is good Test cricket. I think the big moot point is whether we need the extra day, especially if we lose a day. But I think both teams want to win. There's a lot to play for. So I think we do get judged quite harshly in women's cricket, that no one seems to bother too much when there's a draw in the men's test, and we only play one off. So we'll just go out. Both teams will try and do their best, and whatever result comes will hopefully be a fascinating contest. Just lastly, Motty, at Stumps on day one, Meg Lanning told us how she doesn't mind your notes sometimes, but maybe there might be some overstepping from the coach as far as the frequency of notes going out to the middle. Has she had a word to you about that? Well, she was complaining I didn't have any in this one, so I was sitting up in the box up there, so that's interesting feedback. I'll take that on with her. Matthew Mott, all the best for today. Thank you. Cheers.
Good on you, Spriggy. Thank you, Motty. And Brett will catch you upstairs for commentary, and that's funny, isn't it? It's a really nice dynamic between coach and captain, but he's gone from excessive notes to none.
I was a part of the time when there were excessive notes, and it was always a really nervy time. If you were the 12th or 13th and you were running out with a note, that sometimes the Meg Lanning hand might just go up, giving you a stop, go away. But they're a wonderful combination, Matthew Mott and Meg Lanning. And when you think about how much change this team has seen over the journey, I think they've both had such a big hand in shaping the direction of the team and how they like to go about it. And it's good that they can have that sort of banter about, hey, I don't want any more notes, or, all right, now I'm ready for a few notes as well.
There is nothing worse, though. We remember running drinks so many times during a test match, and as 12th, 13th, 14th, you take the flack of giving the messages. So we didn't do notes, we just did the coach in your ear telling you what they wanted to happen, take your mid-wicket out, whatever. You run over to the captain and go, don't shoot the messenger, but I think the coach says you need to do this. I say no. So you go back and say, she says no. And it's like, oh, I'm just stuck in the middle and I just don't like this dynamic.
Well, didn't we have the English men's team at least trialling in white ball cricket the red light, green light scenario to indicate field placements and all that stuff?
Yeah, and it works for them. They've got codes, they've got numbers, letters, and they put a massive sign outside the dressing room, and Noe Morgan goes, right, I know what that means, there we go, we'll go and do that tactic.
How compliant would you have been to that?
I'd go, if you want me to be captain, trust me that I'm going to do it right.
I can imagine you ignoring
They're doing the opposite.
Or not remembering what they meant. One of the two. I could see that. We're about to hear from Catherine Brunt. She had a great interview last night on Grandstand at Stumps with Henry Moran, and we'll relive some of that in just a moment. But she was the other star for England yesterday, Alex, with a 5 for 60 haul late in her career, and she produced some magnificent deliveries.
Yeah, she did. And there's been a lot of talk recently about when she's going to retire. You know, she's got a partner. Are they going to have kids? There's been a lot of talk about it. But she was the pick of the England bowlers. She was England's best bowler. So it doesn't matter about her age, you know. If we're going to say that Jimmy Anderson, he's nearly 40, still one of England's best. And Catherine Brunt produces time after time again. And she is getting better and better. She's now started swinging the ball away again and started trusting herself that she can get some movement through the air. So, I mean, she's getting better, but, you know, who knows when her last Ashes series will be, but I think she can carry on playing until her body decides no.
Well, she is one of the best in the world, and what makes bowlers the best in the world is their ability over a long period of time to change as the game has changed. I'm sure that Test cricket early on, certainly one-day cricket, you know, 200 would have been a really good score. It would have been a little bit easier from a bowling point of view. Now we see scores of 300. So to actually go through those changes within your game, learning new slower balls, different techniques, but to stay relevant across your entire career and to dominate across your entire career, she will have to go down as one of the greatest ever players of the game.
And one of the greatest characters in the game, and we'll hear why now. Last night at Grandstand at Stumps, like I say, Henry Moran had a really fun chat with Catherine Brunt, and we pick it up when Henry asked her about the state of the pitch here at Manuka Oval.
You've literally just got to ask the fans that, the people who are watching this game. Did you enjoy watching this Test match opposed to the one in Taunton or North Sydney Oval? The answer will be almightily yes, and if that's the case and that's what we're doing it for, then that's the way it's got to be. And you know, the curators have done an absolutely stellar job of this pitch, because when I found out last year that it was going to be at Manuka Oval, I'm not going to lie, my heart stopped and I thought, goodness me, it's going to be a long 4 days, because we've played, Danny White scored a quick 100 here. That wasn't fun to bowl on. So so when we rocked up here and I did have a little glance over it, I thought, oh, maybe. So I think it's really important, not just for our spirits as cricketers, but for the fans mainly. They want to see a game go the limit and be a decision and be exciting the whole way through. And I think so far, touch wood, this is what this has been.
And the match feels in an interesting position. Looking up at that scoreboard, England 235 for 8, but we've got to start with the England captain, and what a performance from Heather Knight, 127 not out at the close.
Absolutely. So obviously, if you can imagine there'd be more than one person in that batting lineup that had contributed, where we would be at, and had we taken our opportunities, where we'd be at. Like, even though some people an hour or two ago would have thought we're being absolutely dominated here, it's actually not in that way. If you think about it, the opportunities we didn't take might have minus them 100 runs. The batsmen that we should have had go on might have added us 50 to 100 runs, and that's a completely different scenario then. That's us massively in the driving seat, but it's cricket and it doesn't always work the way you want it to. But we're like Heather, she's showing a hell of a lot of fight, which she always does, and she's rallying us all around her. And Sophie Eccleston, bless her, is probably not going to sleep and be in the nets for about 4 hours in the morning trying to work on that maiden 50, so fingers crossed.
And how good is Heather Knight? Because she looked like she was playing a different game today.
Yeah, Test cricket. I know we talk a lot about Elise Perry to my left here, but Test cricket batting wise, for me, she's the best in the world. I know that's biased, but just all round, the rate at which she scores if she wants to, even in situations like that, is next level. And I think some of the mental work that she does, like the fight that she shows, is next level too. So you can't replicate that, but she's 100% up there with the best in the world.
Can England still win this game?
Absolutely. If I didn't think that, I'd just go home and stay in my hotel room and not bother with bowling 40 overs. We've come into this desperate for a win. We're looking for a win with every over that passes. We were talking the whole time, what shall we do? Shall we do this now? So the aim is 100% to win, and we all believe we still can. You've seen this turn around the way you probably wouldn't have thought it would turn around a couple of hours ago. So, yeah, it's cricket. Anything can happen, and I believe.
Catherine Brunt believes, and who are we to go against Catherine Brunt? So authentic. And Alex, what stunned me just standing on the boundary there yesterday was the difference between her off-field, inverted commas, normal demeanour to when she crosses that rope.
Yeah, she will. she'll hate me for saying this, but in the dressing room we call her baby Rhino, you know, because she's hardened on the field, like battle ready, and then get her off, you just want to give her a big cuddle because she's so cute and cuddly. So we do call her baby Rhino. But she goes out there, plays with her heart on her sleeve, and she's so passionate and so competitive. And I think that's what's helped her get to where she is today as well, because she constantly is looking to get better. And then off the field, she's exactly what you just heard there. You know, she's likes to have a laugh. She's a northern girl from Yorkshire who, you know, she's the first person you go to if you need a cuddle in the team.
Yeah, I nearly asked her for one myself yesterday. I've never met her before. But apart from all of that, Beamsy, she led with the ball.
She did, and it looked like every time that she had the ball in her hand, something was going to happen. We talked about previously that there was a few moments missed where she could have come back into the bowling attack, and it took a little bit long to do that. And it really makes me wonder what life for England is like post-Catherine Brunt, because we're talking about a bowler who is just all heart, all passion, and comes in and plays that really aggressive role. And what are they going to do when that player goes?
There will never be a life without Catherine Brunt, because she's engaged to Nat Siver, so she'll be on the sideline and she'll be shouting at everybody from the stands. England not getting rid of her anytime soon, even if she does retire.
She'll still be appealing from the stands, won't she?
She will.
She believes that England can win this game. They're 8 for 235. We've got play resuming in 8 minutes. We'll be up to Henry Moran and Sarah Elliott for the first ball very, very shortly. But Alex, tell me, what's the path to victory then for England?
Don't know. I'd quite like to ask Catherine myself, to be honest, because it doesn't look like they're going to win. They're going to have to close that deficit as much as they can. If they can try and score runs, maybe if they get bowled out and they're only 30 behind, can they then try and force Australia to declare, and then going into the last day know how many runs they need per over and try and chase a score down.
It's the interesting dynamic, Beamsy, isn't it, with time and the fact that Heather Knight and Sophie Eccleston still have work to do. They still have to get more runs to reduce this deficit.
They really do, and they've got to try and do it quickly with potential time lost out of the game. They still are so reliant on Australia giving them a sporting chance in this game. I don't think that Australia are going to declare with something that's an easy run rate. So they've got to score quickly, and then they've got to hope that nearly Australia score quickly to be able to then set them something on that final day.
To me, that's their mindset. They can't win the game though, Alex. They have to have the mindset of, you know, they can't control weather. They've got to bowl Australia out today.
Yeah, they have. They've got to believe that they win, and Catherine believes they win, and I think that's a little insight into what the dressing room's feeling and the sort of environment that that Heather Knight has created. You know, we can win from any situation. Look how hard I've battled. Look, everyone can do what I've done. Otherwise, you know, you wouldn't be in this side. So, you know, England believe it does look tough, especially with the weather around, but I suppose, like Catherine said, you wouldn't turn up if you didn't think you could win.
What about from an Australian perspective, Beamsy? They are still in the box seat despite that really good fight back from England yesterday, leading by 102 runs. So their focus is get these 2 wickets and then we can control the destiny from there.
Yeah, they'd be hoping that the ball's going to swing around this morning, try and take those 2 wickets. Matthew Mott mentioned under 30 runs. That would be about right. And then hopefully they would just see that today is a day to just bat without having to try and push things too much. But that could be weather dependent. If there is a bit of weather around, they might feel the need to try and push a little bit harder from a run scoring point of view, just to make sure they're far enough in front. I think they'll still want 3 sessions to bowl at England, but I'm not sure they'll get to the point of having enough runs to then have those 3 sessions to bowl them out.
I think if they had 3 sessions, it would pretty much guarantee a win for Australia. I think it would be a hard day for England to battle through, especially after what we saw yesterday.
Well, the good news was it looked like they're going to get rock and rolled inside 75 overs, and they're 87 overs into their innings. So the 8th over with the second new ball will be the first over of the day today. So if you want to put your forecaster's hat on, I'm not talking about weather and looking at damn weather apps, which we've been doing all summer, but who's a key player for either side today to move this game along to a result? Is it Heather Knight going on to score 160? Is it Catherine Brunt with the ball? Is it one of the Australian batters or bowlers? Who's the key player in your mind today?
For England, it's Sophie Eccleston. She was I hate to say it, but she was a real disappointment in that first innings, because you want the world's best spinner to be able to control an end and be able to just go 1 or 2 and over in a test match and create pressure, but she just couldn't get her lines and lengths right, and it was disappointing to watch. So Eccleston, she's going to have to come out, even if she's batted for a while, and just bowl her heart out.
I think it'll be Elise Perry to get these last couple of wickets. I think she'll get the ball up really full and get it to swing. So I think she's got to be the one to take those breakthroughs. But with the bat, I actually think it's Elisa Healy. I think if they're going to score at a rate to see Australia win this test match, I think she's going to have to score runs and score them quickly. So she has the ability to really break the game open right up top for Australia.
Are you a believer, Alex, if Sophie Eccleston goes on to score some runs, and confidence will be boosted anyway, and lasting 70 balls last night to be on 27, can she take that into a bowling?
Yeah, definitely. And like Catherine Brunt said, I believe. She's made me think that I believe. So, yeah, I think if Soph can get some runs and she'll feel good. I mean, I said to one of the girls last night, Soph must be really excited, really ecstatic with how she went. And they were like, oh, well, she was all right. She wasn't as excited as I thought she would be. But that might mean she couldn't switch off, you know. She was a bit nervous. So she's got a massive job to do, but then she's got an even bigger job to do with the ball.
The Australian team has just been out in the middle for their team photo. Beamsy, guess who had the biggest smile?
Alana King.
By 10 lengths. And there are a lot of happy faces out there, but Alana King's hard to beat.
Well, she'd be just pinching herself that this has happened to her. She has spoken a long time about the dream of playing cricket for Australia. And I think she said it, but probably felt she was a long way away from it. And then all of a sudden she's made a debut, she's made a test debut, and she's bowled well, she's turned the ball, she's taken her first wicket. She must be thinking, this is pretty easy, this whole playing for Australia thing.
Spriggy asked Matthew Mott about the Australian fielding. All in all, do you agree it was a good day? I think the only drop chance was Rachel Haynes when one got hit into her at short leg and she put it down, and Charlie Dean was out next ball anyway.
Yeah, I thought they were very good. I think when you're talking about a big, tall, quick in, Darcy Brown running back with the flight of the ball and taking those sorts of catches, you have to do that in Test cricket. Those moments can be few and far between, those little half chances, and the Haynes catch was pretty tough. We would have been still talking about it if she'd have taken it, so they'd be very happy with what they did in the field.
Has that been a noticeable difference in your mind, Alex?
Yeah, Australia are the best fielding team in the world. England have looked to Australia for a number of years and said we want to get to as good as they are, and they've worked incredibly hard, but Australia only had that one drop chance, whereas England, they had a few.
Heather Knight is just out there playing some shots, about to head on out there. The umpires, Eloise Sheridan and Mike Graham-Smith, on their way to the middle, and the weather's holding. It's high cloud. It's warm, isn't it? It's not a cool day by any means here in the nation's capital, as Elise Perry sprints out and then does some jumps in the air that, if was attempted by some commentators, it would result in a rather serious injury. So I'm glad it's Elise and not one of us, but, well, you two excluded, just me I'm talking about. So the Australians are out there, all in the green caps, and now Sophie Eccleston joins Heather Knight. So if you're to make a prediction, Alex, at 8 for 235, what does England realistically finish at?
They finish 30 behind, whatever that takes it to.
Okay, so that'll get them over 300. Do you agree with Alex's optimism, Beamsy, in terms of England?
I think they'll be bowled out in the first 45 minutes.
Oh, bring it on.
Okay, so that would be maybe another 20 runs or so. We shall see. The beauty is, as was proven in the last hour and a half last night, you never, ever know. But what we do know is this entertaining test will continue to be that through the day, so stay with us right here on ABC Grandstand and Test Match Special, right through the early hours of the morning over in the UK, and right through this day. 100 overs to be bowled, and let's hope we keep moving towards a result. England 8 for 235 in reply to Australia's 9 declared for 337. Let's head upstairs, and for the first ball, Henry Moran. Good morning, Henry.
A very good morning to you, everybody listening, wherever you may be, across the world, in the United Kingdom, across Australia. Thank you for joining us here at Monica Oval for this, the third day of this Women's Ashes Test match. Thankfully, the weather is looking all right at the moment. We were worried about that forecast. We thought we could be in some trouble, but the rain fell last night here in Australia's capital. Happily, not this morning. Sarah Elliott from Australia batter alongside me. Lovely to see you. What are we going to see this morning? Kristen says all out within 45 minutes.
I'm going with Beamsy on that one. I think we might see a couple of early wickets. That's certainly, if you're an Australian fan, that's what we want to see, don't we?
There's 2 slips and a gully waiting, and here comes Elise Perry for the first ball of the day, running in from the Monica end down below us, and a full delivery on the pads of Heather Knight, and immediately she calls 2. We'll get them as well, quite comfortably, as the ball's clipped out towards deep mid-wicket. Talia McGrath will field, and we are up and running. The score moves forward to England onto 237 for the loss of 8, and the deficit stands at 100.
There you go. Perry bowled really well yesterday, one of the best spells for her for a long period. She was great. She really led the attack. wonder if she can get a little bit of movement again this morning, knowing that new ball is only 7 or 8 overs old.
Partnership worth 68 for this Knight's wicket between Eccleston and Knight. It's the skipper, Heather Knight, on strike and driving into the offside. Good intent out towards deep cover. The ball goes and is fielded out there in the distance in front over Sir Donald Bradman's stand by Jess Jonathan. Knight moves forward onto 130. Not out.
Certainly 2 balls you'd like to get, I think, if you're just coming out to resume your innings. Nice full there to drive. One through the leg side, that one through the offside. But this is the batter that the Aussies are going to want to be bowling the most balls at. Eccleston was really good yesterday. She just really dug in deep with her captain. But she's got to reset, get her head in the right space. A big job still to do today if England are any chance of winning or even drawing this test match.
Eccleston waits. A short cover in her eye line as Perry bowls edged and dropped. To the right of first slip. It was a presentable chance. Had to dive, but it's put down.
That was a much better length there from Perry, wasn't it? Just that bit of outswing, attempted the drive, and unfortunately put down in the slips. It would have been a difficult catch. First and second slip diving across each other. It's gone through. Could see Eccleston ran hard that first one, but Knight didn't. She was happy to retain this. She was well and truly happy to keep the strike.
Well, it's been a lively first 3 balls. It was Meg Lanning that put the chance down. Knight is on strike. Here comes Perry, and that's another good ball right on the money. It beats the outside edge of the bat and goes through to Alyssa Healy. Looking at the replay of that, Sarah, actually Beth Mooney, and you can understand why she's gone to her left from second slip, but she's almost sold Lanning up the river there a little bit.
It blocked the vision a little bit, didn't it? It was a much harder catch on the replay than what we maybe first thought. It was those last 2 balls have been a much better length from Perry, just outside off stump, tempting or forcing Knight to make a decision on that one.
Deep cover comes up a little bit closer to the action as we see Knight waiting. And Elise Perry bounding in once more. Played into the leg side, into space, pushing hard for the first run. They'll look for 2. Not sure there'll be 2, but whilst Knight does set off, actually Eccleston is happy to say, nah, I'm willing to face the next delivery. I saw Sophie Eccleston. We heard Catherine Brunt say it, but she was in the nets this morning. I saw her as I walked into the ground.
I think I saw Beaumont as well. I feel like every morning that I've walked in, I've seen Beaumont hitting balls. She's the type of cricketer that just wants to face and hit ball upon ball upon ball. Wouldn't have thought she'd get the chance to bat today, but you never know.
You can't rule it out. We were trying to come up with some ways this match could put England in a position where they could win it, which is the assertion from Catherine Brunt that it is still possible. 8 for 240 is the score. England's deficit now into double figures, 97 it stands at. Eccleston on strike as in comes Elise Perry, and again she's beaten a rather hapless drive that I think will probably leave Heather Knight feeling rather nervous as to the sort of mood that Sophie Eccleston might be in this morning.
It's going to be such a tough sort of first half hour here. Eccleston did such a great job yesterday, but it's something to start again. Perry, world-class bowler. Knight's got a sort of decision to make in around. She's probably got to face the majority of these balls, working out how that happens, and then to a point where Soph's comfortable. But you've got to back yourself. The minute you don't back yourself, that's when the edges start coming. So Eccleston, it strikes me as quite a confident sort of a player, so I'm sure she'll be backing herself out there.
We're going to see Annabelle Sutherland bowling the first over from the pool end of the ground. High clouds overhead, a decent smattering of supporters that just maybe easing into their Saturday morning. A few more all the time wandering around, some young supporters in brightly coloured t-shirts to my left off to find their seats. As Sutherland runs in, a couple of wickets to her name already. Knight is beaten by Beauty. She
was good yesterday too, Sutherland, wasn't she? She picked up a couple of wickets, just seemed to hit the right line and length consistently to build enough pressure and sort of nibble it off the seam a little bit. That first ball was certainly on the money. I really enjoyed your interview with Brunt last night. That was a lot of fun. She's a fun character, isn't she?
She's one of those that is incapable of not being entirely herself.
Not being entirely honest. You get,
Yeah.
she says it sort of how it is, and
She's a media manager's nightmare, I imagine. In comes Sutherland, bowling, edge gone! Surely. Well, hold on, what's going on here?
I think that may have been pad. Well, that's what Knight thinks.
Well, there's some conference and discussion out there, and I think Meg Lanning is unmoved. She smiles, and everyone around this ground, including some of those on the field, celebrating the demise of England's captain, but no. It must have been off the pad. It sounded quite a sort of woody noise, but we'll see the replay now.
Oh, it's a good ball. Wow.
What's that? It's not come off the pad, has it?
It sounded paddy to me, I've got to say, but I'm not sure. That replay was tricky to tell.
Either way,
She's still there.
she's still there. On 131. Sutherland in again. From that far end, Knight driving convincingly this time. That's a good-looking shot. Rushes away through cover and will bring the first boundary of the day. Lovely timing from Heather Knight. She moves to 135. And England's score powers forward. They've been in rather lively mood so far this morning. 244 for the loss of 8.
It's an interesting little period, isn't it? Conscious that 4 days isn't a lot of time, knowing that we're probably going to get some rain at some point in the next couple of days. Australia 100 in front. Can't afford to let England get away in terms of runs, catch up too much.
Sutherland in, forward solidly in defence comes Heather Knight. Into the offside it goes.
I guess maybe you have a couple of overs that are going hard at night, that full slip cordon and whatnot, but at some point do you sort of say, okay, your wicket's not the one we want, get you up the other end, and while this ball's seaming around, let's just go hard at Sophie Eccleston. Let's get this run and let's get this wicket, and let's save a few runs in the process, so that when we go into the batting innings, we know we're going to have to attack, but we can control the game.
Eccleston's on 28. She waits at the non-striker's end. It's Heather Knight who is defending high up on the bat, pushing towards backward point. And it says an awful lot about this England innings that Eccleston on 28 has almost double any other English batter's score.
It's been really disappointing, hasn't it, given how good Knight has been. Imagine if just one other of the recognised batters had to put their hand up with a 50 or something like that. They had to taken the 3 catches, which I've spoken about. What a different game.
Knight is on strike as Sutherland powers in, defended again into the offside, and that'll be the end of the over. 244 on the board for England. They've added 9 runs in the morning thus far.
So much.
Rick Finlay is with us. Well, I think it's Rick Finlay. We were discussing yesterday what his alter ego as a statistician might be. The Statmanian Devil was my personal favourite.
Thank you, Henry. Yes, Heather Knight now has the honour of the highest individual score in a test match in Australia by an overseas or visiting batter, beating Molly Hyde, 124 not out 73 years ago.
Wow.
48-49 at the SCG.
Wow. That is some achievement.
That is really, yeah, absolutely. Her innings was outstanding. Her innings has been outstanding. Yesterday she was great. So much pressure and responsibility. Captain of the side as well.
In comes Elise Perry then, continuing from down below us, and Eccleston will work that off the pads down towards fine leg for a single, and that's pretty much the result England wanted at the start of the over. A run for Eccleston, Knight on strike. The score moves to 8 for 245.
I just love that Rick had a comeback for you. He was prepared for that. You went at him again and he was straight deflected and came up with a superb stat. That is brilliant.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It was a fairly lively delivery that Rick just tucked into the leg side.
He did. Punched it for 4.
Here comes Perry once again. 2 slips, gully and a shortish point fielder, as Knight is pushing towards that fielder, waiting Rachel Haynes underneath the baggy green cap. Getting the messages in already this morning. We love having your contributions. We've had listeners all over the world. Vancouver, Seattle, South America, Berlin, Greece.
India.
All over the shop. And that's beyond Australia and the United Kingdom. So
shows how much Test cricket's loved, doesn't it? This engagement.
In comes Perry, charging in once more. Knight on strike is defending into the offside and is comfortably leaning on that ball. Dave, who's a little closer to where we are, in Canberra.
In the Whitwich grandstand.
Says Australia, they awake this morning. Lacklustre start. Don't look like breaking this partnership. Easy 9 runs off the first 2 overs. They should have selected Megan Schutt. Poor non-selection. She's killing us at the moment. Well, Matthew Moss said she wasn't even...
Next in line.
No. Stella Campbell would have been the next cab off the rank. Knight is on strike as this is bowled. Quick effort ball from Elise Perry. Hits the bat firmly right in the middle of it. And it's defended. You can text in Australia, I should say, on 0467 920 222. And wherever you might be elsewhere in the world, email tms@bbc.co.uk. That's where you can email your thoughts. Let us know what you make of it, what you might be up to. It'll be, what time? 10 past 11 on a Friday night back in the UK. So you might just be home from the pub. You might have had a quiet, cosy evening in on a cold January night. Elise Perry into bowl. That hits the outer half of Heather Knight's bat, but she will pick up a single out towards deep cover. And in doing so, will, in theory, have to strike at the start of the next over, with Eccleston only facing 1 ball from Perry at the end of this over.
I think that last text in is maybe a little harsh, but it's sort of spot on the money in terms of the Aussies need to be switched on in this period of time about exactly what they're trying to do, how they're going to get the wicket. That shift between getting Eccleston on strike, going hard at night, they've got to be really clear in their plans. There's been some really good deliveries. They've created a chance already, a couple of near misses.
Perry again, final ball of the over with Eccleston on strike, and this is defended very firmly and confidently as far as Talia McGrath moving to her right at mid-wicket. So that is the end of the over. The 90th bowled in the innings. Australia have taken 8 wickets. But that 8th wicket to fall feels quite a long time ago. It was with England on 169 at that point when Anya Shrubsole chipped the ball up off the bowling of Jess Jonathan to Talia McGrath for 3. Since then, well, this partnership has looked pretty untroubled, really, bar that one drop in the start of play today.
Frustrating partnerships, aren't they? It doesn't matter what form or what grade of cricket you're playing. That batter coming in at the bowler coming in at the end, and that partnership. That person that digs in when you think you deserve and you think you should get these wickets easily.
Sutherland in from the far end. Knight forward in defence, pushing the ball into the offside. I'd like to see a replay of that phantom edge.
That controversy.
Yeah, we've not seen a real-time snicko or a close-up replay of it. I'd be interested to see.
Speaking of partnerships, unfortunately for Kristen, her partnership for the record partnership for the 9th wicket in test between these two countries has now been eclipsed.
Oh, that is heartbreak. Driven away in the air, but safely to the right of Rachel Haynes at backward point. And a couple of runs will be taken for Heather Knight to move to 138. 2, 4, 8 for 8 as a score. I can see Kristen. She's marched out of the room, whether to in devastation of that news.
Did I upset her?
Thrown her folder down in disgust. No, I don't think we've seen enough balls bowled at Eccleston this morning. I don't think the Aussies have been quite switched on enough with controlling who's on strike.
Well, she looked vulnerable immediately. She didn't look like the player that was blocking so competently last night. It's Knight on strike, and she is forward in defence.
Knight's proven herself over many years to be this just determined, gritty, really hard to get out once she gets herself in. She's the recognised batter. Eccleston, where that vulnerability lies in this partnership.
Now, Cam the Truckee gets in touch. On the way back to Melbourne from Geraldton. Asking why the Women's Test is only 4 days. Driven by Knight. Well stopped in her follow-through by Annabelle Sutherland, crouching down. Well, this is a question we've been asking, Cam, and it's just the way that it's been for forever and a day. And so the more draws that occur, you'd have thought, the more likely it is that there will be a 5-day match for the women in future, because we've had a number of games that have been set up beautifully and never reached their conclusion, or their natural conclusion, if you like. Forward comes Knight, going to get a run to backward point. Good fielding by Rachel Haynes. Throws in, but Not before England have picked up that single. 249 on the board now for the loss of 8 wickets. So Geraldton to Melbourne, that's Western Australia.
It's a big drive.
That's
not down the road.
That is not down the road. That is a proper trip.
You'd like to think, I really am hopeful the next test that we have, certainly in Australia, I'm hopeful that will be a 5-day test. I think we've done enough talking. We saw the India series, it was affected by rain, and we didn't get a result there either. So hopefully the time has come. We've done a lot of talking about it.
Yeah, you reach a point where the noise gets so loud that something will change, you'd sense, and you'd imagine that there'll be a point where the pressure gets too much. People want to see full test matches reaching, as I say, that natural conclusion, if you like.
We've certainly seen good crowd support, good viewership, listenership.
Sutherland bowling to Ecclestone and flashing off an inside edge out towards fine leg. So Ecclestone will move to the little mini landmark of 30 and keep the strike as well, which is probably something Australia will be reasonably pleased about. England stand at 250 for 8 in response to Australia's 337 for 9 declared. Looking at that journey, Geraldton to Melbourne, it's 3,678 kilometres, 39 hours driving.
Wow.
That would be like driving from London to Madrid, back again, and then back to Madrid.
Yeah, wow. This is why we need 5-day tests, so we can actually talk him through the whole of his journey.
Well, yeah. I mean, if nothing else, think of Cam, everybody. I mean, we need to be providing the accompaniment, and what a journey that is. Good on you. Here comes Elise Perry then to bowl. Start of a new over to Sophie Ecclestone. Oh, it's a short ball which balloons over the head of the England spin bowler and through the gloves of Alyssa Healy. Mary and Port Macquarie, loving the coverage. First women's test that I've followed closely. 2 tests would be great, and a 5-day format. And she says, in terms of Rick Finley's superhero nickname, Rickopedia has to be tops. I'm sort of with you.
I do like that. I got a rundown from Rick today on the background of the database and how it works. That was mind-blowing for me, but really fascinating to see.
3 slips and a gully weight. Ecclestone defends. Back of a length delivery, which is hitting high up on the bat. Still Australia wait to take this 9th wicket. Peter in Hobartville, New South Wales. Surely Rick Finley, just numero uno.
Got a big fan club out there, Rick. I think it's the most important thing to come out of this discussion. How early will we see Darcy Brown into the attack? Will she come on and have a crack in the next over or 2, do you think?
In comes Perry. Pretty loose ball down the leg side, which is collected by Alyssa Healy. Hello to Nick Blair on the email, tms@bbc.co.uk. Good morning, Henry and the team. Listening whilst on night shift, as I did with the men's Ashes. Enjoying the commentary. I'll be listening tomorrow night too. Come on, England. Great to see the side fight. Wish the men's side had showed a little more of that determination. That's from Nick in Chile, Cornwall, who says, after hundreds of emails, never had one read out. So there we go.
Got it.
Good evening to you, Nick. Lovely to have you with us. That was a no ball from Elise Perry, 252 for 8. Next delivery is outside the off stump, again pretty loose. Actually, the first ball of the over was a wide, so this is an over that has taken a while already. 4 balls have been sent down, but only 2 legitimately.
It's a key moment, isn't it? Because you've got Ecclestone on strike, and this is the over where you want her to be playing every single ball, making decisions every single ball. See that full slip cordon. See if we can bring them into play.
Perry down below us runs away with number 8 on her back past the umpire to Ecclestone, who defends very competently and confidently. Sam Kelly. Interesting to see if England decide to declare to push the game forward with the rain looming. Enjoying the commentary and the cricket to boot.
Did ask Rick to look up for me about teams declaring behind in the Women's Ashes series. Apparently it's happened 5 times 4 resulting in a draw, but 1 did get a result in 2011, I believe, when the Aussies declared behind and we went on to win that Test match. It's really only England's chance here, isn't it, if they are going to get a result?
Feels that way. 3 slips and a gully weight. Weather seeming a little brighter, actually. Full delivery, which is a little uppish as it's punched towards extra cover. But it lands safely. Liam from Leeds. Dear Henry and the team, listening from the least exotic place possible, the last train of the night from Bristol to Southampton. I'm on the edge of my seat listening to the commentary, which is probably for the best, because the seat is mysteriously sticky.
Oh, dear.
Lovely to have you with us as well, Liam. And this I love from Luke in Leicester. On the email, tms@bbc.co.uk. More in just a moment. Here comes Elise Perry running in. And this is played again a little uppishly into the leg side. Talia McGraw will pick up at mid-wicket. A run is taken. 8 for 253 the score. Listening in Leicester, says Luke, rocking the 11-week-old baby to sleep, trying to introduce our new tail-ender to an England win in Australia. The men's team gave him a go. Introduction to the drama and heartache of following England. Enjoying the education that the women's team are giving him. Much more.
That education starts early, doesn't it? They're absorbing.
All the best from Luke and baby Joshua. Elise Perry running in. Final ball of the over. And left alone by Heather Knight. It's been a pretty solid start. England will take that. 20 minutes gone without losing a wicket. 253 on the board. 8 wickets down. The deficit is being eaten up all the time. Sarah Elliott is staying here. I'm getting out the way, and Brett Sprigg is standing by.
Grandstand Cricket, The Ashes, on your radio, ABC Sport Digital, and on the ABC Listen.
Slightly overcast morning. The flagpole above Parliament House looms large behind the Bradman stand off to the western side of Manuka Oval. And the Ashes are on the line. Sarah Elliott, Australia, let's face it, they could really make their move today in retaining the urn, but the England resistance rolls on. It might not feel like it. Might not feel like a hot start to the morning, but there are plenty of twists and turns left in this Test match yet. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Spriggy. Yeah, absolutely. Australia haven't quite been there with the ball just yet. Haven't been able to build enough pressure, put enough balls in the right areas.
You over here from the pool end as Eccleston cuts on the bounce, and there's a diving stop there from Ash Gardner to start the Sutherland over. England 8 for 253. So it's good to see that fielding hasn't let up, as Matthew Mott mentioned earlier. It's the one thing they wanted to improve on from that previous Test match against India. We certainly saw glimpses of that yesterday. Yeah,
they were great in the field. Darcy Brown's catch was standout for me. I wouldn't mind seeing that square leg, put a helmet on, come in a little closer, just get in Eccleston's face a little bit.
Sutherland is in again to Eccleston, who's driving here straight to mid-off and will get no run.
Just for a couple of balls, try and change something up, get in her head a little bit. She's been on strike at the start of this over, so the Aussies have the chance at potentially 6 balls at her. Make sure that every ball is right in her face, in the right channel. I mean, making her make decisions.
That's where Jess Johnson is positioned, at just forward of square. Alana King down at fine leg in front of the Menzies stand. 2 slips, 2 gullies as well as Eccleston comes forward to Sutherland, just strokes this to mid-on. Again, it's a dot ball.
I did see Alana King rolling her arm over. I'm not sure whether that was a captain's directive or that was just Kingy giving some hints back.
A hint, yeah.
Might be a little early in the day for her. Maybe Darcy Brown, the next bowler that we may see.
We were trying to work out yesterday, because Jess Johnson had quite a staggered sort of spell. She bowled a 1 over spell for a maiden, then bowled 2 later on. I think there was 2 later on, and she took a wicket in that second spell as well, so she certainly bowled well enough as Eccleston waits here for Sutherland, up on her toes and defending with a straight bat back to the bowler. 8 for 253 England. I'm trying to figure out, is there something wrong? Is she injured? I looked at her body language and I thought, no, she's got the body language of an underutilised bowler. So just sitting there, sort of just, and you can be dropping hints and warming up, as Alana King is doing right now, then in front of us. Or sometimes their shoulders are a bit sort of hunched and just kind of I'll just be over here. You know, you call me if you need me. There's no reason why she probably couldn't have bowled more. And she's edging this time, Eccleston on the bounce to Mooney, diving to her right at second slip. Good over this from Annabelle Sutherland.
Yeah, she's certainly still a part of the game, isn't she, Jonathan? And to her credit, she's always been like that. She's team first kind of player. But yeah, you get the hint that a little bit of frustration. But it really, it does come back to the captain's choice, doesn't it? And what they've got in their mind as the best options. I would have liked to see more of her yesterday. I think she brings something a little bit different. Keep changing it up. Maybe we saw Kingy. We saw that massive spell from her, and she bowled really well. But only the 1 wicket. Searching for wickets, maybe you need to just mix things up a little bit more.
You do have 3 unique kinds of spinners. So Alana King, of course, the leggy. Jess Johnson, left arm finger spin. Ash Gardner bowling her offies. Last ball to Sutherland over. Sutherland gets Eccleston trapped in front here. She's playing across the line. Big shout, not given. Umpire Eloise Sheridan is unmoved. And they're reviewing this. Yes, they are. Going upstairs right away.
Yeah, Smithy, Bruce here. We've got a player review for LBW. Original decision is not out. It's a fair delivery, so can I get your best front-on shot, please?
So we know it's not a no ball. Could be going from a maiden to a wicket maiden if this challenge is successful from Australia.
Doesn't appear to be any bat there. Could I get Ultra Edge, please, to confirm?
It's definitely hitting. Maybe leg stump. It could be drifting ever so slightly. It's height not an issue. It's hitting her below the roll.
You can
see the pad.
By the shot.
Cross ball.
Eccleston played. She thought it was going down leg. She's played across that to try and flick it down, but
That's well out in front. Flat line as it passes.
Hitting her on the roll, in fact.
Hits the pad.
It's going to be a close one, isn't it?
Confirmed that there's no bat, so we'll get ball tracking when it's available.
I'm going to say umpire's call. So
I think you might be right.
She's going to survive this, Eccleston.
Okay, Lou, here it comes. The impact is in line and the wickets is...
Umpire's call, just grazing the top of leg stump. So the call will stand for not out, and Sophie Eccleston does survive. It's a maiden over from Sutherland, though. A nice effort from her from that pull land. England remains 8 for 253.
Is this where you give Knight the single and you straight away put Eccleston back under the pressure? She just had that big appeal, little nerves with that. It's the opportunity there to start playing around with the field a little bit more.
Fancy we may... Alana King's coming up, but I do note that Elise Perry's handed her cap off to one of her teammates, so maybe she will be continuing from the Manuka or Cathedral end. Tony from Northcote, Victoria, in the Bradman stand. I'm at my 5th Ashes test for the summer. Would have been 6, but the Queensland border didn't open in time. And ABC Sport have been with me for every ball. Thank you for the informative and engaging broadcast. Good on you, Tony. That's quite an effort.
That is a terrific effort.
Especially in the current environment, getting around Australia like that.
Good on you, Tony. And great that you're supporting the women's test as well as the men's.
Neil asks, is it true that Rick's real name is Clark Kent? I love your coverage, of course. Superman. He's the Superman of all the numbers here for us on Grandstand. Murray is busy doing housework in Brisbane. I love Rick's work, but wondering if he's got an apprentice or understudy in case he's unwell or retires. Nothing of the sort, Murray, as far as we're aware. It's all Rick. 2 slips, 2 gullies. And you Perry over here with Heather Knight well set on 135, and she's using the face of the bat, going it out through point. Deep cover runs around here. Jonathan, content with just the one, is Heather Knight. In fact, she's 140 now with that single. England 8 for 254.
Okay, this is what the Aussies want. Eccleston back on strike. What's Perry got here? You can see them talking about the field. I like the theatre of that when the captain comes up and starts pointing and discussing things.
Just the 19 runs added in this first almost half an hour of play. England resuming 102 runs behind. As you say, Eccleston the tail ender. Although we know she can bat a bit, as Alex Hartley has outlined to us. 3 slips, gully. Sophie Eccleston herself has proven that, hasn't she, as far as sticking around in this partnership from an England perspective. The 9th wicket. She's flashing at this ball outside the off stump. It was a good length from Perry. Eccleston was chasing it, and it goes through to the gloves of Elisa Healy.
That was exactly what they set up for, weren't they, the Aussies? Just a little bit wide from Perry. It's probably a second, almost a third off stump sort of line moving away. The Knight just coming down, taking some time to talk to her teammate.
Talking about, you can sort of see the way she's motioning, Elisa Healy, talking about that drive.
Just the build-up was there, the execution not quite. But it certainly tempted the drive, which is, well, exactly what you want. Sometimes you want that little wider ball to tempt the drive, don't you?
Back in position here. Healy behind the stumps. Perry on the way in. Eccleston, the high bat lift. Waits here for Perry. It's wide outside the off stump and scooting through. Almost called a wide. It was so far wide of the crease. 8 for 254 England. Mr. Finn Royce from Deniliquin. Driving Deniliquin to Gold Coast. Day 3 on the road. 4th day on the beach. Great show. Well, it's day 3 of this show. So thank you for your company, Mr. Finn Royce. Enjoy the road trip. One run off this over so far for Elise Perry. Trying to entice the edge here of Sophie Eccleston. The England number 10. Perry on the approach. Cathedral end. It's just back of a length, but again coming forward, missing the outside edge.
It's a good delivery there. It's got good pace, a little bit of movement away. This is good. Sophie's had to face, what I'm going to say, 10 out of the last 11 balls.
Brad from Adelaide, really enjoying the coverage, guys, but hoping the rain stays away. Ooh. You and we both, Brad. Great to see women's cricket getting the respect it deserves. Thank you for your contribution. 0467920222, especially for those listening in Australia. Texting from overseas, some cost may apply. Perry in past the umpire. Eccleston coming forward with a straight bat, but again it misses the outside edge.
I'm liking this build-up. This is good. This is where we saw Brunt. Was that yesterday, where she came in and knocked over our tail end? Was a beautiful delivery. I can't remember who it was that took the off stump.
Sutherland. Yeah. Just skim that off stump halfway up. And that was the first wicket to fall yesterday. What will be the first wicket to fall on day 3? England hanging in there. It's proving a pesky resistance from an Australian perspective. They trail by 83 runs, 8 for 254. Last ball here of the Perry over as Eccleston offers no shot this time. A patient approach that over from Perry, and she sees it through to Sophie Eccleston. So 8 for 254 it remains. Still fans coming in after the first half an hour of play here at Manuka Oval. A couple of thousand each day so far. It's not a ground which holds a lot of spectators, so the atmosphere has been tremendous. And hopefully people aren't put off by the weather forecast, because I think it's all, I shouldn't say this, claptrap. I find that sometimes the forecast isn't always honest. It didn't happen yesterday, as I welcome back Alex Hartley, England World Cup winner for the first time today. Good morning.
It's bright. I'm putting my sunnies on.
What's the glare? You're a serial sunnies wearer in basically all situations.
Very true.
But it is. White clouds overhead. If there is rain, we'll get it later on, but we didn't get any yesterday. We were supposed to get it in the last session. You over here from the pool end as Sutherland continues, and Heather Knight moves inside the line, tucks it off her hip behind square, down to Alana King for 1 run to fine leg, 8 for 255.
We've got the England family members to our left and the England A girls in today, who are chanting and cheering like the Barmy Army, which I'm really enjoying.
So where are they positioned? Are they off in the back of the menzies stand?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's good fun.
They're singing, "We love you, Sophie. You are the love of my life. We love you, Sophie."
2 slips a gully here. Here is Eccleston back on strike, facing Annabelle Sutherland. This is a short ball, short and wide, and signalled as such by umpire Eloise Sheridan. So 1 more to the sundries. 8 for 256 here, England. And that's what you need, don't you? You need a pseudo Barmy Army, which we saw feature at times throughout the men's test summer. Hasn't been quite the same amount of voice from a tourist perspective. But the England A women who lost the 1 day yesterday down the road at Phillip Oval are here in support of their national teammates. As Sutherland on the stumps this time. Eccleston drives straight to mid-off and no run.
I could just hear them. They're making me laugh. They just all shouted shot. Wasn't that good of a shot, was it? Just nice little drive down the ground.
You got to have a hype squad.
Yeah, true.
Just have your own hype crew. And that's what they got to do. Keep the positivity going.
Yeah, Sophie's fiance wasn't able to come out, so he said he'd be listening to the radio, but whether or not I believe him.
Well, what time is it now?
11:30.
11:30. There you go. There's a high bat lift from Eccleston, waiting for Sutherland. She plays all around this. It just sort of scoots underneath the bat of Eccleston and on the bounce to Elisa Healy.
I've had a really important job throughout this Ashes series, more so than summarising, is when it rains, Eccleston's fiance goes to bed and I have to ring him to wake him back up so he can watch.
Right.
He just texts me like, I'm going to bed, can you ring me please?
So you've been busy probably through the first component of the series with the T20s washed out in Adelaide. Although once the rain was there, it was there. It wasn't like you were off and on. Eccleston facing Sutherland here, looking to hang the bat out there on a good length outside the off stump, and lucky not to edge that ball to Elise Perry. Well, that's the thing as well. So I note that informally, yourself and a lot of people referring to this series as the
He said he is listening.
He is listening. There we go. You got a text in real time. What's Sophie's fiance's name?
Craig.
Oh, good on you, Craig. Nice to have you with us. Eccleston's on 31, by the way. Waiting here for Sutherland, coming forward. Nice defensive stroke, straight to cover and no run. Informally, this has been referred to as the Washes.
Yes.
Women's Ashes, W Ashes, men's Ashes.
Mashes.
And Mashes, yeah. I'm sure the purists hate it. Doesn't matter.
They do, but do you know where that started?
Where?
No Balls Cricket Podcast.
Okay, so we have you to thank for that.
Yeah.
Isha Gu was caught on.
It's
she
great,
refers
isn't
to
it?
as the Washes, but I think the omen is a bad one, as it looks like washes when it's written, and you've had nothing but washouts apart from that first T20 in Adelaide. Hasn't been desirable as far as getting this series going, as Eccleston comes forward again to Sutherland, who slight misfield in her follow through, but a dot ball all the same to finish. She's bowled tidy, 2 for 62 of 21 her overs so far, and England 8 for 256, Eccleston 31, Heather Knight 141.
And I can't say wash or washes now without saying wash, so I'm going for a wash rather than a wash. It's just the washes are just stuck in my head.
Oh, goodness me.
But then you've got some people that are saying it's not the Washes, it's the women's Ashes. Well, but it's a bit of fun, isn't
Call
it?
whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. It does not matter. It's a significant event in any case.
Mashes is a personal favourite, though. I think that's a good one.
Oh, I'm sure people will melt down over that. 8 for 256. Knowing what I know about cricket fans, and particularly fellow male cricket fans.
How much can we wind them up today, do you reckon?
Make it a slow burn. Let's not go there in the first half hour or so of play. 8 for 256. There's proud traditions across both the men's and women's Ashes. We were talking yesterday about, we've got our abc.net.au/sport, our top 20 women's Ashes moments up, just as we did our top moments for the men as well. You can vote for those. We'll sort of talk more about that as the weekend rolls on, as Perry starts new over here from the Cathedral end. This short ball pulled away by Knight. Tugs it away behind square. That will beat fine leg to the boundary. Running around from long leg. Darcy Brown couldn't get there, and Heather Knight has another boundary. The England captain just keeps things ticking along here. 145 to her name, and with that, England now 8 for 260.
I'm not sure on the short ball tactic without the field being set for it. So if you've got a fine leg and a deep backward square leg, I'd get that. But Australia have got a fine leg / deep backward square leg somewhere. Someone's sort of in the middle. And if you're going to go for the short ball tactic, you want to have your catchers there.
There were times yesterday where that fielder wasn't all the way back to the rope either, maybe about 10 metres or so in. 2 slips, 2 gullies, building close on the offside. Perry to Knight, who's cutting here on the bounce out to deep point. So a single to keep the strike ticking over here. Heather Knight 146, England 8 for 261.
There is nothing more frustrating than playing in a 4-day game, or any game, and you're number 10. Has faced nearly 100 balls, and as a fielding unit, it's so frustrating. You almost try too hard. But Eccleston's a really good batter. She's scored runs at regional cricket. In the 100, she can bat anywhere from 4 to 8.
31 runs to her name here, Sophie Eccleston. Perry in past the umpire. Eccleston comes forward to defend. Bat and pad together.
But with every dot ball, more and more frustration builds for the Aussie bowlers. Meg Lanning, the Aussie captain.
Well, this partnership's now worth 92. Why can't they get 50 or 60 more?
They can.
And A. Hartley's prediction comes true.
It's not often I'm wrong either, so, you know.
Rick's looking at me as if the probability of that on a numbers perspective is way off. But you just never know. Eccleston's here, facing Perry, back of a length outside the off stump and let go.
There's nothing to prevent, if these two keep going, for England to establish by tea a lead of 60 or 80 or
there we go.
Even more, and to put pressure on Australia. Australia lose a few wickets, panic, end up with an English victory.
Rick's joined the positivity party.
There
He's
we
on
go.
board.
There we go. He'll be sat with the Barmy Army in half an hour.
The England A women masquerading as the Barmy Army. And there's players out there who themselves have test experience. A lot of
We
international
can call them the
experience.
Farmy Army, the fake Barmy Army.
8 for 261 here, England, as Eccleston waits for Elise Perry. She hangs the bat out there again, and it's just past the outside edge, the under edge of the bat that time from Sophie Eccleston. One ball to come in this Perry over. What do you made of her bowling spell across this test match, Elise Perry?
Been better than I thought, actually, better than I expected. She's one of those for me that, her bowling's gone on the back foot over the last couple of years, but taking the new ball in this test match, she's been very impressive. 2 for 51, bowling her 20th over. I think she's maybe being left out of the T20 side has given her a bit of fight.
Seems to be one popular theory is this is the last ball of the over. Eccleston on strike facing Perry. She drives this time. Will get 1 to point, and she'll keep the strike next over, Eccleston. So she's 32. England 8 for 262. We've had the opening 40 minutes of play here on day 3 at Manuka Oval. Alex Harley will be joined next by Andrew Moore.
Grandstand Cricket, The Ashes, Australia versus England. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital, and on the ABC Listen app.
On your Spriggy, thank you very much. Morning again, Alex. Who on earth would have thought at 8 for 169 there would be 40 minutes into the following day and there would still be 8 for and looking unget-outable?
I thought it. I believed.
Apart from you.
Nobody else did.
Notice it took you about, 2.5 sentences before you got your first plug-in for your podcast today?
It was very, very good, that. It was almost like we did it on purpose, but we didn't.
Very well played.
I just don't think people know where the origin of washes and mashes came from, and they need to know.
I think it's important you remind them, the people that is, more than once or twice today. Hashtag washes. Hashtag podcast. Hashtag Alex Hartley. Hashtag track cross. Hashtag bowling change. Jess Jonathan coming on from the pool end. So Meg Lanning turning to spin with Sophie Eccleston on strike. Craig still listening?
Yeah, he's still listening. He texts me. He's got the TV on mute, but the radio on commentary.
Oh, good man, Craig. Well, your fiancée is doing a mighty, mighty job for England on 32. And she's got a slip, a short leg, a silly mid-off and a silly mid-on. She's surrounded as Jonathan starts outside the off stump, and Eccleston slaps it to Perry at mid-off, but can't get a run. 8 for 262 in reply to Australia's first innings of 9 declared for 337. There was the one close shout for LBW that Australia challenged, lost. Other than that, pretty safe going as a well-fighted delivery. Greets a dead bat from Eccleston, picked up at silly mid-off, no run. Doing a great job, this pair, as they did last night. Jonathan bowls, passed up by Sheridan, and Eccleston is playing this towards Gardner at silly mid-on. No run.
I wonder when it's going to get to the point for Eccleston where she realises, I might be able to get 50 here.
Well, according to Catherine Brunt, she was thinking that when she came off last night. What was she overnight? 27.
Not far away.
She's only added 5. She's faced 104 balls all up, and a 105th is defended back to silly mid-off. No run. As you mentioned, Alex, that the frustration will be building and building and building for the Australians.
Yeah, Eccleston is very strong against spin on the front foot as well. Doesn't look like getting out.
Oh, you haven't cruelled her here, have you? Inside edge past short leg and she'll get a run. I thought that was a real possibility. But Eccleston does get a single. She moves to 33. England along to 8 for 263.
It is remarkable how often that happens.
I know.
They can't hear me. They don't know what I'm saying. They never know what I'm talking about. But how often you say someone looks good and they get out.
It's the commentator's curse. It's in every sport. It's with every broadcaster. So mid-on is moving back now for Heather Knight to pretty much a regulation mid-on. So for Heather, there's a mid-on, a short mid-wicket, short leg and a slip, and a silly mid-off still in place as Jonathan bowls. And a slog sweep there by Heather Knight. She strikes that beautifully through mid-wicket for 4. And that brings up 150 For the England captain, what a knock. As we mentioned yesterday, it is Heather Knight's second Test century, and her only other Test century was 157. And is she declaring?
No, drink.
Oh, getting a drink. I was going to say, I just looked up.
I panicked then.
I looked up and saw she and Sophie walking off, but no, a drink's coming out, and a well-deserved one for Heather Knight. 2 Test centuries, both of them over 150. What a mighty knock from a wonderful player and leader.
Honestly, one of the best knocks that I've seen. Just being ruthless, patient, you know, determined, all of the words that you could describe a gritty knock like that from Heather Knight. I mean, it's been unbelievable. When her team needed her the most, she was there. And the way that she's been able to accelerate this morning and score at the rate that she wants, I think that's what's really impressive, is she can go at whatever speed she wants. If she wants to hit a ball for 4, she can do. We've just seen that with that last delivery from Jess Jonathan. Slog sweep for 4 because I can.
8 for 267. Heather Knight 150. We'll get the stats, balls, boundaries and so on from Rick in a moment, but it was the end of the over, and so now Sophie Eccleston will be on strike. Rick, what were the stats there for Heather Knight's 150?
274 balls and 1-6 and 12 fours.
And bringing up the 150 with a magnificent boundary. Here's Talia McGrath bowling to Eccleston, and she's forward defending. Coming in to pick it up is Sutherland at cover. So with Talia McGrath, who was a little wayward in the length yesterday, she only bowled 6 overs and went for 27 runs. She's replacing Elise Perry, who now has 20 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 52. And McGrath in front of us. 2 slips gully, backward point, short cover, mid-off, mid-on, short mid-wicket, deep backward square. Full pitch delivery, driven nicely by Eccleston, but straight to Rachel Haynes at mid-on. No run. The vigil continues. The partnership up to 98, and the smile on Alex Hartley's face grows wider and wider by the minute.
I am a neutral.
You're not a neutral. That is the greatest lie you've ever told. Bar none. And I reckon you may have told the odd porky in your time, but that's the biggest. Here's Talia McGrath. Into Eccleston, who drives it. Little uppishly past the bowler. Diving save at mid-off by Lana King, moving to her right, much to the delight of the crowd. Apart from the England A supporters in the Menzies stand. And the score remains as it was, 8 for 267. Rick?
The world record partnership for the 9th wicket in women's tests is 107. Keep that one in
That's 9
mind
runs
as we move
9
closer.
away.
We're going to have the record for this one and the next one today.
That's McGrath to Eccleston, full toss, but it was down low on the bat as she just pushes it to Perry mid-on. No run. Eccleston survives yet another delivery. 109 of them thus far, making 110.
I'm getting giddy, and it's because I can hear the England A girls just shouting short.
So that's
every
them in
time, yeah.
The top left corner of the Menzies stand. Oh no, is it?
Yeah, there's a group of girls today.
Yeah.
They have to be separated.
Yes,
the England family and the England A girls. They're now socially distancing because of the World Cup.
Correct. McGrath in. Silly mid-off. Short mid-wicket. 1 slip. Cut. Oh, what a catch! Dropped! It was a diving effort by Meg Lanning at slip. For the longest time, it looked like it was going to stay in her right hand, but it goes down as she hits the deck. It'll go down as a chance, but what a tough one. Eccleston a life on 33 as she tried to cut Talia McGrath.
It was a real thick outside edge, that from Sophie Eccleston. A full-length dive from Meg Lanning. She got there. It looked like it was in her hand, and as she hit the deck, the ball just fell out. I mean, Meg Lanning looked really frustrated, like she should have caught that, but it would have been outstanding.
Were you with me? I thought it was in her hand for a long time. There's now a drive from Eccleston down to King at mid-off, and there's no run.
Over.
I mean, in real time, that's the end of the over, by the way, with England 8 for 267. It looked like she had it, and it was going to be a spectacular catch, but on the way down, out she came.
Yeah, I thought she had it. I thought, oh, here we go. But no, Eccleston gets another life too today. An LBW shout and a drop catch.
Do we count LBW challenges going away as a life, do we?
Well, I think if had it have been given out, it would have been given out umpire's call. So, therefore, 2 lives.
Interesting. Is that a stat that you're now going to keep, Rick?
Sorry, Alex, no.
Wow. You mustn't have started that on your podcast.
Well, you know what? A couple of years I might have Rick's job, so I'll do my own stats.
Wow. Wow. Is that the job you'd want? You're a jack in the box, so I can't imagine you having the patience of a Rick Finlay.
Look at my notes compared to Rick's.
They are extensive. Can I just hold them for a moment? Because I've got this big notebook. You've gone it's almost like you're a police detective, like Columbo, Peter Falk back in the day. And these notes, so these are your notes from day 1 to now day 3?
Yes. Day 3 are really good.
Here's Jess Jonathan. Into Heather Knight is pushing. Upper Shield a little bit to short leg, but then fielded by Rachel Haynes. Yeah, I don't know how you actually utter words out without looking down and referring to those notes constantly.
Day 3's notes are HK.
What does that mean?
Dash. Heather Knight.
Dash. Here's Jonathan, well flighted. Heather Knight tried to slog this one, and it comes along the ground towards deep mid-wicket. She has 1, and that's all she'll manage in the end as McGrath comes in the big white floppy hat. 1 more to Heather Knight. She's 151, so she's 6 runs short of her highest score. The partnership is 99, 8 runs short of the all-time record 9th wicket partnership in Test cricket. So things are happening.
That, by the way, was for the South African pair Botha and Payne against New Zealand at Cape Town in 71-72.
Oh, you had that in your notes, didn't you? That was on the previous page. Here's Jonathan. Now to Sophie Eccleston, and Eccleston's defending away on the offside to silly mid-off, and there's no run as Beth Mooney picks up. Score 8 for 268. Amazing how cricket can turn around.
This is the first ever cricket game I've put in this notebook.
As Jonathan bowls well flighted, cut and missed by Eccleston, put down by Elisa Healy.
I do make notes, so I went from having a big book to all the cricket games in, and it got too stressful because I've covered too many different formats of cricket, different competitions.
Hang on. Were all the other games in your other notebook the same note style as this? Jonathan bowls to Eccleston and she's forward. Nice defensive shot that time back to the bowler.
No, there were still teams down, and then I'd write who was in, who was out. But I'd never write, so-and-so got 50 in the last game, because that's on the previous page from the last game I covered.
Was that not helpful?
Well, that book was full then, and I didn't know what to do.
Get a new one is what I'd suggest. As Jonathan bowls, well flighted, and Knight punches it into the gap at cover just wide of Talia McGrath for a single, and she'll get another run, Sophie Eccleston, and keep the strike. She's 34, and congratulations to this pair, a 100-run partnership. For the 9th wicket, England was down and out. They barely had a pulse at 8 for 169, and here they are living and breathing. 100-run stand. 8 for 269. Sophie Eccleston 34 and Heather Knight 151. Rick Finlay.
That single also beats the English record for the 9th wicket, which was 99 between Kitson and Tedston in Auckland, 91-92.
Records falling everywhere. It's always fun to be a part of history, Alex, no matter what it is, and there are so many obscure things that come up, and it's a first for this and a first for that. And after playing cricket, men's or women's, for so many 100 plus years, it's remarkable.
I love it. I think it's gives you a bit of a boost as well. Even as the Australians will be going, oh well deserved. They've battled hard there. They've deserved that partnership. They've deserved that record. And there's nothing better than being like, did you know? Got a bit of a world record.
Nice. You got sick of saying that. Here's Talia McGrath starting a new over. Bowls to Eccleston, struck on the pad. That looks close. Out. The partnership ends at 100. That looked plumb. Eccleston gone for 34. Talia McGrath gets her first wicket. Eccleston consults with Heather Knight, and you may as well challenge it, and they are.
Yeah, Smithy, it's Bruce here. Player review for LBW. Original decision is out. It is a fair delivery. Can I have front on vision first, please?
Again, we're a long way away, Alex, and from a slight angle, that looked plumb.
That looked out. So out. Talia McGrath, we saw her get wickets with the Yorkers in the T20. She's gone for the Yorker delivery. Sophie Eccleston has just played across the line of the ball.
Come across, so I'm going to need...
It's hitting the middle of middle, that one, unfortunately, for Sophie Eccleston.
She's walking off. I'm writing it in my notepad.
Good shots here.
I'll write it in mine.
Yeah, we've got a complete flat line. Run it through until it hits the pad, please. Yeah, I'm satisfied there's no bat involved here. Impact us with pad, so ball tracking when ready, please.
This is plumb. The 100th over of the English innings.
Right, Mike. Pitching in line, impact in line, wickets. It's heading. Stand by. I'll get you to reconfirm the decision of out.
What a knock from Sophie Eccleston. She's already crossed the rope and gets a resounding reception. Playing her role in a 100-run partnership with Heather Knight for the 9th wicket to keep England in this game at 9 for 269. And if that was at 2 for 80, it would have been a dumb review. But you understand why they took it now. Why wouldn't they? But it was plumb. A good delivery by Talia McGrath, but what a performance by Sophie Eccleston.
So good. It's just completely changed the dynamic of this game for England. You know, she came in, England were on the back foot. Heather Knight, she didn't have anyone to stay with her. Sophie Eccleston showed maturity, showed her class. She's the best bowler in the world, but she can bat, and she's proved that today. And she'll be absolutely devastated she's got outplayed in that shot, because it wasn't a great shot. It was a full ball. She played across the line of it. She'll have gone into the dressing room. She'll have thrown her stuff around. But I actually think she should go in there head held high, and she should be really proud of herself.
So now it's your podcast mate, Kate Cross, coming out at number 11.
It's what I wanted. In
a 5th test match. 15 runs at an average of 5. High score of 4 not out it was against Australia. 1 duck.
I was expecting better numbers than that. I just nearly spat my brew out.
I'm glad you didn't, firstly. And
I wouldn't want to ruin my notes.
No. Goodness, you wouldn't have to spit out much to ruin them. Here's Talia McGrath bowling to England's number 11 and crosses forward. Magnificent shot to get off the mark through mid-wicket. Ball heading towards the boundary. The pursuit is on. They have a couple of runs. It'll be pulled up just in front of the rope by Elise Perry. And Kate Cross off the mark with a very impressive 3. With Australia having England now 9 for 272.
Now, I'm not just saying this, but because Crossy's my best friend. We live together, whatever. But I think England have the best batting 11 in the world.
Now, we're just wondering on the replay whether Elise Perry, any of her body was over the rope, in which case it would be a boundary. But now it looks like Heather Knight's now on strike. On 151. She's 6 away from her highest test score. Remarkable innings by the England captain, and she's late cutting. Backward of point. Jonathan in pursuit moving to her left. She was the cover on the boundary. And she'll keep it to a single. Heather Knight just threw her head back there, thinking she perhaps could have been even more productive from that ball with the width that was on offer. Heather Knight 152, 9 for 273. In reply to Australia's 337. England resumed at 8 for 235. So what's that? 38 runs in the morning thus far in 13 odd overs. Eccleston, 34 of 117 deliveries and 3 boundaries. Does this mean her fiancé Craig may have brushed us now and gone to bed?
Yeah, he does get up at about 6 for work, so.
Here's McGrath, bowls to Cross and forward very competently in defence. Pushing it to Alana King at mid-off, no run.
My mum got up about 3-4 o'clock in the morning the other day to listen to our commentary, and she said, well, Crossy's playing, I really want to listen to Crossy. And she said, text me saying, when are you next on air? I said 20 minutes. I rang her when we finished, so it's about 10 a.m, 9 p.m. here in Australia.
It's McGrath bowling, and Cross is forward, driving to mid-off, can't beat Alana King, no run.
She said, well, I listened to Crossy bowl, I fell asleep and didn't hear a word you said.
Wow. She missed some gold, did you tell her that?
I said, Julia, you're doing it all wrong. Crossy's not your daughter. Feels like one at sometimes, sure. I guess.
Well, Julia, I'm sure you're listening to your actual daughter as we speak and impressed with every word. Geez, you'd be impressed with a note. Send her a photo. Here's McGrath bowling, and Cross defends to cover, no run. Ends a successful over for Talia McGrath and for Australia with the score at 9 for 273. Heather Knight 152, Kate Cross on 3, and it looks like we'll get one more over before drinks on this 3rd day on the SMS. What do you call the women's Barmy Army? If it's the washers, then it's got to be the Barmy Wami. Jeremy says, double cricket this morning, watching my son, stage 3 team, and listening to the coverage, enjoying the broadcast. Good one, team. Thank you, Jeremy. Barrel, very famous cricketing area in Australia, the Sir Donald Bradman Museum. Don't forget to 0467 920 222 to send a text. And if you're listening to TMS through the BBC, better off sending an email via tms@bbc.co.uk. And you can send your thoughts there on email. Stephen, back out on the trampoline in the warmth of a Saturday morning as I tune into the ABC. 5-year-old is in the sandpit, almost 2-year-old is running laps on the trampoline. Blue-tongue lizard nearby enjoying the morning sun. It sounds like a nice Aussie Saturday morning.
Sounds delightful. Hope you've got a shrimp on the barbie.
That's really a cliche, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I feel like a shrimp on the barbie. That'd be nice.
It's a bit early though, isn't it? 11 o'clock.
Yeah, a little bit. Alana King is into the attack from the pool end. I think, did she bowl all of her overs yesterday from down there, or was it the second spell from down this end? Yeah, down this end, I mean, for Alana King, as Heather Knight sweeps her. Should get at least 2 here to deep square leg. They're coming back for a second run now, and the fielding's done by Ash Gardner, so they do get the 2. And the score under 9 for 275. Alex, just look at your notes and check that for
Well, I think she bowled 3 from the far end and the rest from this end.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I'm going to disagree. She bowled her first one from the far end and then came on and bowled
Liquid
3 overs
paper
at
for
this end.
Hartley. Liquid paper for Hartley.
And then had a break and
Alana
continued at
King
this end.
bowls. Late cut by Heather Knight. She plays that beautifully down to deep third. She has one. Will come back for a second and a misfield by Annabelle Sutherland. That was a lazy bit of fielding. She bent down one-handed, and she'll know she should have done better than that. And Heather Knight reaches her highest test score of 158 from 279 deliveries with that boundary. What an innings.
She's just batted so well, and she has actually said that she's better when she's got a target, when she knows what she needs to do, and she just has needed to survive yesterday.
King bowls, and Knight is defending. Back down the onside, no run.
And, you know, she's done it perfectly. She's played the situation perfectly. And been really impressed with the fact that she's been able to trust Eccleston as well to face deliveries. I think that's the most impressive thing.
Here's King. Bowls tonight, who launches over short mid-off. The ball heading out towards the long off boundary. But the fielding will be done out there by Jess Jonathan, and they race back for a second run. Good running by Kate Cross to hustle the captain through. And Heather Knight keeps the strike on 160. 9 for 281.
Because we often see in Test cricket that when they're set batters in with 10 and 11, they try and farm the strike, but not Heather Knight.
King bowls and Knight off the back foot punches it to point. McGrath is there, no run. 1 ball to come in the over. Interesting to see here whether she's doing everything she can to get a single and keep the strike, despite Kate Cross's impressive first 4 deliveries. King bowls well flighted, and Heather Knight's on the sweep to deep backward square, and she will. Master batting by Heather Knight, fielded by Elise Perry, a deep backward square. There's a single. She's 161. Kate Cross is 3. England is 9 for 282, so still 55 behind. And that's the end of the 101st over. Drinks are coming onto the field now. Henry Moran's coming in with Kristen Beams, and Henry will keep you going through the BBC. But for ABC listeners, let's now get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
Thank you very much indeed, Andrew, with what a pretty decent morning this has been for the England side. 282 for 9 the score. And they're cruising towards Australia's target. I say cruising because it's felt quite relaxed. It's felt quite easy going for them. It's not been a morning of enormous stress and drama. There has been the wicket that has fallen. Sophie Eccleston going out LBW a short time ago. But Kristen Beams, that, dare I say it, the smiles are probably broader in England's camp at the moment than they are in Australia's.
I think definitely. It has been the Heather Knight show since yesterday afternoon and into today, and they've put England in a really good position here in this match. Whether it's going to be a winnable position or whether it's to draw it, Heather Knight has taken the responsibility, and I've loved the way that she's gone about it. We saw that previous over from King where playing more shots, trying to attack the bowling, but also making sure she gets herself on strike. And if they're going to get in front of Australia's first innings total, she needs to face all the balls and take this bowling on, which she's doing really well so far.
Well, we went for a little walk around the ground to get some coffees.
We did.
And we suggested that would England be bold and declare, 50 behind if they got the opportunity, see if they could roll Australia for 100 and something, and then see if they set themselves a target of 200, maybe a little more than that.
I would love to see that. I think Australia right now are thinking England are going to try and get themselves in front of our first innings figure. So at the moment, 282. First innings for Australia, 337. I'd love them to get to say 290 and then say, okay, we're going to declare behind and we're going to throw it back onto you, because it's all about the unexpected when it comes to declarations and trying to get the jump on Australia. And maybe their batters they'll be thinking about what they're going to do, but they might be thinking it's not that soon that England are going to declare, or thinking that it's only going to be, they're only going to go out and bat if they can take this final wicket. So I would just love to see them do something bold to declare behind. It nearly just says, yeah, we want to win this game. We're going to throw it back on you.
Yep, indeed. You say the unexpected. The entirely expected has happened in the next door commentary box, where we spend our time between commentary stints, because when we went to get, Alex said, can you get me breakfast on your travels? And so I went to pick up Alex Hartley's breakfast. I texted and said, do you want an egg and bacon roll? She said, yes. Well, she actually, first of all, she said, get me something healthy. And I said, egg and bacon roll, yes.
Good luck at the cricket, by the way, to do that.
Sounds perfect. And they originally put onions in this roll, and I took them out because I thought she doesn't have anything. She says thank you yet, because she doesn't like anything that's ever been grown from a plant, because that seems like it's a bit too healthy. And I left the tomato in. And as I turned around a moment ago, inevitably, the first thing she was doing, taking the tomato out of the sandwich.
Is that a no-no in England to have onion or tomato?
No, it's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Unless
it's just an Alex Hartley normal, not a genuine normal for everyone else.
Yeah, it's just...
Right, got you.
If you've got the palate of a 4-year-old... Here comes McGrath, driven. Goodness me, what a good shot that is. Through the covers it goes. There's going to be a chase on for a flurry of fielders, and eventually Alana King does pretty well, diving in front of the man with a camera on the Segway, and a couple of runs are taken. So England move forward to 284 for 9. She looks very pleased with her breakfast though, Alex. She's happy with life over there.
And good cat and mouse here. Heather Knight could have taken 3. There was 3 in it, not taking that. So for Meg Lanning to get the position of these fielders right, get the angles right, get the depth right to make sure that it's only a 1 is going to be really critical here.
There's a silly mid-off in place as in comes Talia McGrath, dropping it short and hacked around the corner down towards fine leg. So 1 run will be taken to get Kate Cross onto strike. And the score moves forward, 285 for 9. Now, there is always this debate, Kristen, about which way round you say it. 9 for 285, 285 for 9.
Yes.
Because there is the difference in Australia and in England. John Lewis tweeted me earlier. As in comes Talia McGrath, full delivery, which is driven very firmly by Kate Cross and stopped by King at mid-off, saying the biggest issue of all, Henry Moran has just said 8 for 245. Are those bowlers' figures? Well, no, John. We're balancing between the two.
Does that make you un-English by doing that? Is that what I take from that tweet?
I think maybe.
That people are questioning whether you're becoming Australian.
Sorry, John. I'm going to mix it up, and you know what I mean. There's a appeal for LBW, but it was an inside edge. There was just a little bit of in shape towards Kate Cross, and she rather awkwardly lunged forward without a huge amount of confidence, I don't think.
And just look, a bit of movement there from, big movement. And if I'm Anya Shrubsole or Catherine Brunt and I'm sitting in the dugout, I'm excited about what I'm seeing. So it's good for Australia, but it's also good for England, as their bowlers would be working out what their best plans are on this wicket.
McGrath, tall figure, runs in, right arm over. This is driven again by Cross out towards short extra cover. Interesting field, this. Jess Jonathan is jogging out to deep backward point. But a couple of slips, a gully, that short extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. And a fine leg. Quite square in front of the Jack Fingleton scoreboard. Beyond there, we can see the trees that surround this ground. It's almost at ground level, because you can't see the buildings in the distance ground level. It's almost like you're playing in the middle of a forest. As in comes McGrath. Edge dropping short. Soft hands from Cross, and it lands in front of Meg Lanning, and the over has survived. So Knight will be on strike. The score remains at 285 for 9. And it is such a lovely setting, this.
It's a beautiful spot to play cricket in terms of the scenery in it. Here as well in Canberra, sometimes you get a nice red sky, sometimes during the summer, and there's been some really amazing photography taken here. So it is a beautiful place to play. Traditionally, every bowler that's ever come here and played, myself included, hates this ground, but it's got nothing to do with the beautiful scenery and everything to do with what is normally a very flat track with not a lot in it. But this has been a really amazing wicket that they've produced for this test match.
Yeah, it's Huge credit to the staff here because it makes all the difference.
It really does, especially when it's a 4-day test match, and you want bowlers to be excited to bowl on it. You want batters to be excited to bat on it, and I think everyone will walk away at the end of this match and say that was such a good contest, and the reflection we're seeing in the scores just says how good this wicket is.
And there's never been a point where you've thought there isn't something for the bowlers there as well. And that's, you just always want that element that either batter or bowler can get something from it. Here comes Alana King, bowling to Heather Knight, pushing out in front of square on the offside. Freddie gets in touch on the email, tms@bbc.co.uk. Morning all. Just home from a twilight shift on the ambulance. Having half an hour listen to Test Match Special. In comes King, full toss, which is whipped out towards deep mid-wicket. They'll want to if they possibly can. There's a bit of a hesitation, and it will just be that single. The cry keeper from Alyssa Healy. They wanted cross on strike, and they're going to have it as well. It's 286 for 9. Freddie says, having half an hour to listen to TMS whilst making a fish finger sandwich. Is that a thing in Australia?
Can you tell by my face that that's not a thing?
What? No?
That was nearly worse than the face that I pulled when, I can't even remember what Andrew Moore said yesterday, but I pulled a face. I've pulled a worse face for that, a fish finger sandwich.
Sarah Elliott has just looked at me through the next door commentary box like I've just said something utterly bewildering and offensive.
That sounds disgusting.
What? In comes Alana King. Fielders crowding round the back. Cross sees a quick delivery, and it's an outside edge possibly put down by Healy. Did I hear a couple of noises? The cameras are focusing on the Australian keeper, who is looking frustrated. It's a tough chance, but it has been put down. Alana King in to bowl to Kate Cross. Forward in defence, very solidly. A fish finger sandwich is one of the great pleasures in life.
It doesn't sound like it.
What? Rick, don't look at me like that.
I'm with Kristen on that, very much so.
What?
I've never had one before.
What? Cross is defending firmly out towards silly mid-off. There's a silly mid on, a short leg, a slip, short extra cover. A couple of fielders now pushing their way a little deeper, hoping that Cross, if she gets a run, will be tempted to take the single and will keep the strike at the start of the next over. She lets one go outside the off stump. It wasn't a million miles away from that off stump, but survives the over. 286 for 9 is the score. The deficit stands at... Rick, I look to you for such things. My maths is not nearly good enough. 51? 51, there we go. Well, if you're going to join the conversation today, join it on cricket by all means. 0467 920 222 here in Australia. tms@bbc.co.uk on the email, wherever you might be. I want to know, surely someone in Australia has sampled the delights of a fish finger sandwich.
I really doubt it.
No.
Unless they are part of what I coin the Ashes family. So I think if there's an English person within your family, maybe. But even still, it sounds awful.
No, I heard a rumour that Men at Work, actually, the original draft for the song was "He Just Smiled and Handed Me a Fish Finger Sandwich," I believe. This is an edge, is it? No, it's just popping up into the offside and dropping short of the fielder.
You're telling porcupines. Henry.
I've had experience. I used to have them as a child, which is why I can say that I don't like them.
Oh. So,
there's experience there.
So I take more respect from Rick's view, because at least he's given it a go. Rick, and more nicknames for Rick, the Score Lord. I like that. Knight playing the ball through the offside. Wants two. I don't think there will be a second run, because Jonathan sprints round quickly to pick up and prevents it. So the field will shift with Kate Cross on strike. Cross has survived 12 balls so far, batting at number 11.
I think she's done a good job here, and what Heather Knight has done really well is she's tried to really shield her from Alana King. She's tried to make it as easy as she can for her partner, and that's what you have to do in this situation. She's still saying, look, I back you in. And I think she'll be trying to make sure that she's not on strike again to go up against spin.
McGrath bowls, driven at rather frantically by Cross, and goes flying through to Alyssa Healy.
I think it's time for Darcy Brown, I think, against Kate Cross, and to have a look at the short ball and try and see if they can just mess up the footwork a little bit. Think about her getting on the back foot a little bit more, with the opportunity to then go up and full. think she would be okay facing the pace of Atalia McGrath.
Full delivery defended by Kate Cross. Neil joins us from mooring. Enjoying the Aussie commentators, working with the English commentators, giving us both perspective. Adams listening in Adelaide, demolishing breakfast after getting my booster shot. Loving the call. Kudos for the Peter Falk name drop. Yorkshire accent insights, which ground does the scoreboard prefer. The voice of Alex Hartley. All sorts of things. Driven by Cross as far as Alana King at mid-off. Adam, great to have you with us. Jack Rule emails, tms@bbc.co.uk. Night 24 of the Ashes. Jack has been with overnight throughout men's and women's Ashes.
I tip my hat to that.
Jack is an absolute legend. And you will find Jack often at Worcester for matches. He scores. He's always entertaining on social media. Jack is an absolute superstar.
So no naps in that overnight.
Here comes McGrath, left alone by Cross, flying through to the keeper. End of the over, the score 287 for 9 for 287. And England just creeping their way now, 50 runs away from Australia's first innings total. And Jack finishes by saying, for the record, fish finger sandwiches are the food of the gods.
I can think of a few other things that... Well, I feel like it's really taken a turn. In the Hobart Test match, we spoke about oysters with aggers, and we've really changed gears to talk about fish finger sandwiches.
Yeah, well, they're slightly different ends of the culinary spectrum, perhaps. But I'm starting to get support roaring in from across Australia. This is what we wanted to see. Pam at Innisfail in northern Queensland. Hi, Henry. Yes, plenty of fish finger sandwiches. Don't have an English background either. See, often have a fish finger sandwich and a toast of bread. Quick, easy snack, says Daniel, Mount Barker, South Australia. Suddenly, Kristen, you're starting to see the light.
No, I just think it's a lack of taste that people have.
What? Well, you know the way to get in touch. Alana King from the far end of the ground with Heather Knight on strike. There's a slip in place. This is hit firmly on the bounce towards mid-on. A show of intent from the England captain.
And this is a hard field, I think, to get a boundary. So I think she's eyeing off straight. If she can go straight over Alana King's head, or she's going to cut hard through point, I think they are the best opportunities.
Forward comes Knight, defending into the offside. Lindsay in Perth. Aussie cricket fan, I love fish finger and mayonnaise sandwich. A true culinary delight. Don't shaking your head at me. Reverse sweep, nicely played down towards deep third. And will be collected by Sutherland down below us.
And that's really telling there. And I think Heather Knight would have seen in that last over the leg spin is a little bit tougher to face for Kate Cross, not taking the single. We wait till that fifth or sixth ball and then try and take it then. And
King is in. Forward comes Knight. Chips the ball in the air. Cries of catch, but it's going to land in no man's land. A cry of keeper. They want that ball to get back quickly, so Kate Cross will have to face some of the awkward bowling of Alana King. A run is taken. Knight moves to 167. She's 2 runs taken, was it?
No, sorry, I was saying it's 2 balls left for her to survive.
Forgive me. And so Cross will be on strike, and immediately we see this field contracting in, all rushing in together to put pressure on Cross. Short leg, silly mid-on and silly mid-off. There's a slip. I'm sure plenty of chat around the bat as well. Cross on strike, dropping a bit short and hit away for 4 runs. Square of the wicket on the offside. That England A team, there's not many England supporters here. There simply can't be because of the times we live in, but they're making plenty of noise and enjoyed that from England's number 11.
The first Test 4.
Ooh! A celebration for Alex Hartley to our right as well.
You do take that. I was about to say there's also pressure on the bowler when all of a sudden the field comes in, and Alana King knows her job is once Kate Cross gets on strike to try and take a wicket, and that's probably a good example of just being under pressure there.
Cross is a full delivery which is dug out into the leg side. There is no runs to the end of the over. The score stands at 292 for 9. Robbo from Brisbane, fish finger sandwich with tomato sauce. They are bonza. I'm getting out the way. Brett Sprigg, a man I have no doubt indulges in the odd fish finger sandwich, is standing by to take up commentary.
Grandstand Cricket, The Ashes, Australia versus England. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital and on the ABC Listen app.
Thank you, Henry. Morning, Beamsy.
Thanks, Briggy.
This game's got some life in it, doesn't it? Thanks to the England, well, say tail. We've heard about the batting ability of Sophie Ecclestone. We saw it for ourselves. Kate Cross is out there certainly showing her wares with the blade. And the resistance just rolls on, 9 for 292.
It's been good resistance, which is why we now see Elise Perry come back into the attack. Meg Lanning, as every captain does, you go back to your strike bowler, you go back to the bowler that's got experience, and Elise Perry's got a lot of that, especially in these situations. The 2015 Test match, Lydia Greenway, it was a very, very good effort by her. Faced a lot of balls, and it was Perry who was able to get the breakthrough that day. And I think Meg's saying, well, I need this wicket and I need it now, and she's gone back to her strike bowler. But we still see the big spread out field to allow Heather Knight to get off strike.
There's a catching mid-off in place there, Annabelle Sutherland. And Alana King has sort of pushed back at a wider mid-off near the boundary. And long on is Rachel Haynes. Perry into Heather Knight, short ball, tugged away behind square on the bounce down to fine leg. 1 run here for the England captain. She's 168, England 9 for 293. Good
result that, to get Heather Knight off strike first ball. It's exactly what she would have loved to have done. Heather Knight probably thinks she missed out there. There's pretty big gap there on that leg side, and she'd be disappointed she didn't get it through there, and she wanders down to have a word to Kate Cross, and she knows how important this little partnership is to get them close here. And still 2 slips, gully. So it's still a good field behind the wicket, but we are seeing the ball just not carry through as much, and that's why we're seeing in front of the wicket catchers as well.
Kate Cross back on strike, as you said, 2 slips in the gully, crouching here. Perry on the approach, full ball, full toss in fact, worked off the legs of Kate Cross. Another boundary. Out through square leg, plenty of vacant room out there. That's 4 more for England.
2 real looseners from Elise Perry there. The first ball short, going down the leg side, and then the overcorrection with the full toss there, and just taking her a little bit of time to get into her work. It's probably a good result that it was 4 runs rather than a single. It keeps Kate Cross on strike.
9 for 297. Alex Hartley spoke about the possibility of getting close to 300. It felt like the minimum England had to do to make a game of this. They're certainly doing that on the 3rd morning here at Monaco Oval. Perry into Kate Cross, short ball. She ducks out the way of a bouncer. Still a field in relatively close regulation positions. A long leg back in front of the scoreboard on the eastern side. 2 slips, a gully, a backward point. So that shortish extra cover on the edge of the square. Annabelle Sutherland, King at mid-off, McGrath at mid-on, and Rachel Haynes at a short mid-wicket as well. Just on that furthermost wicket on the eastern side. Can Perry get the breakthrough here? England trails by 40 runs overall in the first innings, and Cross is driving here, picks out Alana King at mid-off, no run.
Better length there from Perry. Kate Cross having to play at that ball, and it is really about how many balls they can get her to play. No swing there, but Perry will continue to push it full to try and get swing. I think that is the best option here. But I wouldn't be surprised if the ball doesn't carry through to those slips. You want to have those catches behind the wicket, but it just feels like the ball's just dying a little bit off the surface.
Bit of a breeze at Perry's back as she's in here to Kate Cross. A tail end on 11 runs. She skies this high in the air. Fine leg, runs around and completes the catch. Excellent diving effort down there from Darcy Brown in the deep. And with that, the England innings comes to a close. Kate Cross out for 11. Caught Brown, bowled Perry. England all out for 297.
Great 2-ball combo from Elise Perry there. The ball up and full, and then surprising Kate Cross with the short ball there. And what a catch by Darcy Brown. It went up. It felt like it was in the air for an eternity. Swirled around a little bit, and the big quick got herself in and dived forward to take that catch. That's a really good piece of fielding, and it's the 2nd very good catch for Darcy Brown.
And now it's all about the ovation for England captain Heather Knight. Unbeaten. She walks off 168 runs next to her name. It surpasses that innings of 157, Wormsley back in 2013. Her 2nd Test 100, and this one most important. to give her team any chance of fighting their way back in this test match here in Canberra.
Catherine Brunt spoke about it being the best test batter, and there is a good case to say that between her and Elise Perry. But what is so good about Heather Knight is her ability to make hundreds in each format. She's got a T20 hundreds, she's got one-day hundreds, and now she's got multiple test hundreds. And that is just an unbelievable captain's knock, and she's put it in a position. If anyone thought that England were a chance of, I guess, getting whitewashed here by Australia, Heather Knight has really put her hand up and said, no, look, we're still in this to win this, and she has given her team a chance.
I'll come back to you, Rick, for the final numbers on Heather Knight's innings, if that's okay, but I'll run you through the England card as their innings has come to a close, their first innings. So in reply to Australia's declared score of 9 for 337, England had wickets falling regularly, really, in the top order. Winfield Hill went for 4. Tammy Beaumont went for 5. That was all before lunch on day 2 yesterday. Nat Siver, 15. She was caught. Healy bowled Sutherland. Sophia Dunkley went for 15, bowled by Elise Perry. That was when the score was 4 for 79. 5 for 118. There was some middle order resistance there with Amy Jones. She was out for 13. Heather Knight batting all the way through, mind you. So she went through most of the England card batting with her. Catherine Brunt, their chief destroyer with the ball. She managed just one. She was Alana King's first test wicket in the 48th over of their innings. Yesterday, England was 6 for 120 with Knight unbeaten at that stage on 57. Charlie Dean went shortly afterwards for 9 at 7 for 150, 8 for 169. And then that partnership got underway between Heather Knight and Sophie Eccleston. They went to stumps at 8 for 235. They were resuming this morning 102 runs behind with Knight on 127 and Eccleston on 27, not out. Eccleston eventually went for 34 in this first hour of play. 9 for 269, England at that point. And then that little partnership at the end there with Kate Cross, the number 11. She scored 11 as well. She was caught by Darcy Brown, diving catch in the deep at long leg off the bowling of Elise Perry. And the England innings concluding after 105.5 overs, and Heather Knight unbeaten on 168. If I could trouble you, Rick, just for a few of the numbers around Heather Knight's knock.
Yes, she batted for 429 minutes. That's 7 hours over. She faced 295 balls, hit 1 6 and 17 fours, and scoring 168 becomes England's 4th highest individual score in Test cricket.
Wow. The Aussie bowlers look like this. Darcy Brown, 12 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 39. Elise Perry, 20.5 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 57. Talia McGrath, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 35. Annabelle Sutherland, 21 overs, 5 maidens, 2 for 62. Alana King on debut, 26 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 58. Jess Jonathan, 7 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 15. She did bowl today. And Ash Gardner, who didn't bowl today, at 9 overs, no maidens, 1 for 27. So by my count then, 297, 40 runs behind England. How is this game poised, Kristen Beams? It feels like England have done the job they had to do.
They definitely have, and with no weather yet, it puts England in a nice position because the overhead conditions suggest a new ball is going to swing. Catherine Brunt's coming off 5 wickets in the first innings, so they would have their backup saying, well, if we can take a couple of wickets really quickly here before the lunch break, they put themselves in a really nice position. And to give themselves a chance to try and roll Australia for, if it's 150, 200, that they give themselves a chance in this game to chase down the total tomorrow.
As well as dare Australia, if they are still batting, to be bold and make a declaration, make a game of it going into the final day.
Yeah, and I think Australia will want to do that. I don't think it'll be a really sporting declaration. I don't think they're going to allow England to chase something at a run rate of 3 or 4. I think they'll ask the question and say it's probably going to have to be at a run rate of 5, 6 plus to make sure that they don't lose the match. But I still think that Meg Lanning and Matthew Mott will be having lots of conversations saying we still want England to have a crack at this on the last day.
You can keep your texts coming, 0467920222 if you are listening in Australia. Of course, if you're in the UK, email tms@bbc.co.uk. That's where you can email your thoughts. If you are listening through Test Match Special, Craig is enjoying listening from Hobart to Alex Hartley, former Hurricane. And Kristen, Beams, of course, Tasmanian, but unfortunately lost to the Stars for WBBL, but home again now. And Heather Knight's batting, another former Hurricanes player. Chip sandwiches, however, are the go, not fish fingers, offers Craig on that discussion point. Grant Adelaide just thinking that a fish finger sandwich is something a well-known takeaway outlet has been selling for ages, and a bun with tartare sauce. You've lost me, Grant. Neil says fish finger sandwiches, question mark. You'd have to put a truckload of tomato sauce on that. And then there's other people opining on the subject of fish finger sandwiches. But the reality is here, there is a game of cricket to be played. England 40 runs behind, so Australia a 40-run head start on the second innings. Do you expect Australia to do anything different in the second big, Kristen, as far as batting order and everything else?
I think they'll stay pretty consistent and they'll be really mindful of probably the first hour with the new ball. So this tricky little half an hour period pre-lunch and maybe 45 minutes after the lunch break. They'll want to make sure they get through with no wickets lost and really get the shine off that new ball. And I think once that happens, they'll start to really move the game along a little bit more. But I think they will be making sure that what they don't want to do is give England a really good sniff. If all of a sudden they're 2 or 3 wickets down and they're still only 50 runs in front, they might be thinking, well, we're putting a bit too much pressure on our middle order here.
Beams, we'll let you have an early lunch. You can go and get stuck into that because you're back in the lunch break with Andrew Moore and Henry Moran for Grandstand at lunch here on day 3 at Manuka Oval. And as part of that, we will in fact have the Belinda Clark Award and Alan Border Medal named. Of course, the top gongs for our men's and women's international cricketers. There were some of the other awards announced yesterday. We saw Elise Perry, Domestic Player of the Year, Darcy Brown, Betty Wilson, Young Player of the Year. We'll have information on that in the next hour. Lunch is half an hour away, but we'll have a resumption here very shortly for Australia's second innings, 40 runs ahead of England here at Manuka Oval in Canberra. You're with Brett Sprigg on Grandstand Cricket and through Test Match Special on the BBC platforms, and former Australian batter Sarah Elliott has rejoined us in commentary. Welcome again, Sarah.
Thank you, Spriggy.
What do you make of where things stand at the moment?
Well, England have brought the game right back into the fold, haven't they? If we had asked at the start of the day, I thought they were a long shot to push for a result, but they've played amazingly well to get themselves back into this game. Heather Knight was brilliant. Her grit and determination. She wasn't all that well supported by her top order teammates, but Eccleston was terrific again this morning, and yeah, they've given themselves a chance.
Umpires are making their way out there, of course. Eloise Sheridan and Mike Graham-Smith. Fans are sort of filling that eastern side of the ground in front of the open grandstands, along with the Jack Fingleton scoreboard as well. There's a bunch of fans out there, and the ground staff are poised at the ready. We expect there will be rain at some stage today, whether it's later in the afternoon, perhaps hopefully beyond the close of play. We didn't get rain yesterday, but it is a little gloomy off to the west above Parliament House and Black Mountain Tower as well, 2 of the Canberra landmarks. We are seeing the clouds a little bit darker. The umpires are keen to get the players out there as well, as England form a huddle just beyond the rope in front of the Bradman stand. They want to get almost a full half hour in before the lunch interval today. And so the roller is still out there, just freshening things up in the middle. And the wicket we expect, Sarah, would probably get easier to bat on as the test match progresses. But the atmospheric conditions make it a bit harder.
That's exactly right. Yeah, the pitch has really been a great one. It's provided something for the bowlers, something for the batters. But you think once you're in, easier to bat on. And got to remember how well Brunt bowled in that first innings, taking her fifer, her first on Australian soil. She bowled with some really good pace and some good shape away. So she'll be the danger factor, I guess, in this first little period of play.
The right-hand, left-hand combination of Elisa Healy and Rachel Haynes make their way out for the Australians, as a couple of little drops have just found their way into the commentary box. Onto my notes, Rick Finlay.
Interesting to note that the England innings was 10 legitimate balls longer than the Australian innings.
Wow, so they batted for longer. Unbelievable. 40 runs behind. Of course, Haynes and Healy had contrasting first innings. Healy an 8-ball duck. Rachel Haynes stuck it out, mostly with Meg Lanning. She made 86 of her own, Rachel Haynes, falling 13 runs shy of her highest test score of 99 and or 98, I think it is, and of course 14 shy of her test 100. But we will see the attack taken up here by Catherine Brunt, who was the chief destroyer in that first innings. She'll be getting things underway from the Cathedral end.
It's really the perfect time for England to have lost that last wicket with this little sneaky 25 minutes these Australian opening pair. I think England won't be unhappy with finishing a little bit behind in the runs tally, knowing that they get a chance in these good sort of bowling conditions. I think we'd see a little bit of swing. So be interesting to see, particularly how Healy goes. She's such a key batter, missed out in the first innings. You know what a dominant player she can be.
The ground staff are tugging off that roller. It's the manually operated roller that you kind of walk with. I imagine it does have some kind of motor to assist things, but it's taking its time getting off the field. And the floodlights are on, by the way, as well. So we saw that yesterday at times throughout the first session with the overcast skies, and it did get better as the day wore on. Hopefully no interruption before we get to lunch. Anything we do get by way of precipitation happens during the breaks, so we don't lose Test cricket here in Canberra. Catherine Brunt has the ball. 2 slips and a gully. The roller is very slowly making its way off in front of the scoreboard. Rachel Haynes will have strike here to get the Aussies' second innings underway. Here she is now. Point, cover, mid-off, all on the approach. Brunt to Haynes, moves inside the line, works it off the hip. There's a single to start with the very first ball of the innings from the Australians and Rachel Haynes.
Brunt's up and about already. I just love watching her bowl. She bowls with such enthusiasm and just she's so into the game. Loved the post-game interview yesterday as well.
How did you find her to face?
A real challenge. Yeah, I've faced her a lot opening up. She just swings the ball beautifully and bowls with pace and aggression, so not afraid to dig it in and to really fire it in at the body. So, yeah, a real challenge. And that match with Shrubsole at the other end with her big in-swingers.
Now, to further increase the pressure on Healy on a pair here, there's 3 slips and a gully, quite in close as well. Healy comes forward, bat and pad together and defending. Just trickles out to backward point.
Just, love the contest that's on. There's always a contest on when Brunt's out there. She certainly lets you know about it. Lots of facial expressions, lots of oohs and ahs and sort of theatre when she bowls.
A text here. I'm not sure if this is from a correspondent or if it's just from our producer. In view, Black Mountain Tower behind the Parliament House flags. To my right, Mount Ainslie, where we can see the top of the War Memorial at the base of the mountain. As Brunt in past the umpire. Healy is sticking up again. Coming forward, edging. It's a second ball duck this time. And a big send-off from Catherine Brunt as well. Elise Perry is trudging off Monica Rival, and Australia is in deep trouble at 1 for 1 in their second innings.
Wow, Lee, what a ball. Just straight on the money. Great bit of swing. Just tempted. Lured Healy into the shot. She didn't get a big enough step forward, but the swing on that ball, the late swing, was what got the edge in the end. And a massive send-off. Look at that celebration from Brunt right in Healy's face, wasn't it?
Elise Perry had spoken about that rivalry and that matchup, and Catherine Brunt has certainly had the better of her with that delivery. She also got her in the first innings as well. So a pair for Elise Perry, a total of 10 balls faced in this test match. And that puts Australia in early trouble here as Beth Mooney comes out at first drop, batting number 3 for Australia. What a start for England.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I can hear Alex through this sort of soundproof box cheering away. Exactly what they needed. They got this 25-minute window to go hard at the Aussies, and they bring Mooney to the crease. She's under a little bit of pressure as well. We know we've spoken so much about her jaw injury and the impact that's playing on her physically and also mentally. She missed out in the first innings. She's a pretty determined character, but tough conditions.
A question with notice, Rick, just reflecting on Heather Knight's innings. Rod in Spence in ACT, loving the coverage. Question for Rick, is Heather Knight's innings a record or close to a record in women's tests for the highest percentage total in a completed test innings? So we're speaking about the Bannerman score in men's cricket. It's the Bakewell score because Enid Bakewell actually has a higher percentage score of her team total historically. She had more than half the total, so we'll see as to where it stacks up if that's at all possible, Rick. In the meantime, all the action in the middle here because Beth Mooney is facing Catherine Brunt, who's feeling very good about life right now. There's a short leg on the onside, and it's on the bounce to her underarm as well. The stumps coming from the fielder under the helmet. Tammy Beaumont, as it was in the first innings, and so Beth Mooney has to set about things here with Rachel Haynes, both left-handers. Keen to build the Aussie lead here, but they're on the back foot early.
They're up and about, this English team, as they should be. And that's full credit to Heather Knight, who's got them into this position through her grit and determination in her batting innings. They've got a real chance here. Can they double it up?
Mooney taps her bat, fractured jaw and all. She waits here for Brunt. She's playing and missing. Tried to use the face of the bat. It flew past the outside edge. Catherine Brunt well on top here. 1 ball to come in this over.
It was such a one-day 2020 cricket shot there. Just almost looking at to glide it down to deep third man. It was not much footwork and just a throw the bat at it type of a shot.
What a test match this has become. You wouldn't have thought from where things were positioned even yesterday, despite the late England resistance with the bat. They're fighting their way back in here now with the ball. Mooney comes forward to Brunt, defends back to the bowler who picks up with intent in her follow-through and heaves it back to the keeper, Amy Jones, over the head of Beth Mooney. So that does complete a solid over first up here for England. They're behind by 40 runs, but they've claimed the early wicket of Elise Perry for a second ball duck. Australia 1 for 1. Sarah Elliott with you on Grandstand Cricket, and Andrew Moore is coming in.
Grandstand Cricket, The Ashes. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital, and on the ABC Listen app.
Thank you, Spriggy. Rain, rain, don't you dare. Don't ruin this tremendous game in prospect, Sarah Elliott. And you would never have thought this after tea yesterday, but this has set Australia effectively 1 for 41. That's the lead at 1 for 1 in the second innings.
Just they've fought their way back into this game, haven't they? What a time to step in and chat about it. Hey, Maury, they're bowling superbly. That first over by Brunt was just every ball was on the money.
And now it's Anya Shrubsole to bowl from the pool end, opening the bowling with Brunt, who's just being moved a little squarer at mid-on. There's 3 slips in a gully, backward point, mid-off, as Shrubsole bowls and driven by Haynes. Back past the bowler, straight through Shrubsole's hand. She's not happy with that. And another run for Rachel Haynes. She's 2 off 2. Australia 1 wicket down. 2 runs scored. Elisa Healy a pair. Caught behind off Catherine Brunt. It's been entertaining. I was listening in the next box. And last time I was on, Sarah, I was with Alex Hartley, who declared herself publicly in an embarrassing lie as being a neutral. Well, when Catherine Brunt took the wicket, Alex Hartley nearly flew out the window. She's taken some weird seating position on the table right out the window. I thought she was going to fly straight out of it.
That is a little dangerous there, given how excited she gets.
Yeah. Shrubsole it is to Beth Mooney, looking to get off the mark. She's in, and the left-handers getting off the mark. Beautiful punch through the covers. Brunt in pursuit. She'll pull it up inside the boundary rope. They come back for a second. Nice sliding save by Brunt. And just forces Rachel Haynes to scurry on over the last few steps. Mooney 2, Haynes 2, Australia 1 for 4 after England was bowled out for 297 with that amazing resistance from Sophie Eccleston in particular, with a 100-run partnership with Heather Knight. Kate Cross involved in a 28-run partnership for the 10th wicket, and Heather Knight 168 not out, 294 balls, 17 fours and a 6. Shrubsole bowls to Mooney, who's defending, an instant cry of no as it goes forward of point. Rick Finlay, you've got an answer to that listener question?
Yeah, Rod's question. Heather Knight's innings of 168 not out constitutes 56.5% of England's 297. That ranks 5th in the world and second to Enid Bakewell for England, who holds the record at 68.3%.
So highly significant. Thanks, Rick. Mooney, 3 slips gully, backward point, mid-off, mid-on, fine leg, doesn't offer outside the off stump. Swinging further away through to the keeper, Amy Jones, who now has 7 catches in the test.
Yeah, she's been great with the gloves, hasn't she? You saw Healy miss out on one late in that Australian bowling innings, but Jones has been spot on. A good confident leave there by Mooney, a big step forward. It's so important to do that when the ball's swinging around so much.
Shrubsole coming in past the umpire Graham Smith, and Mooney defends to mid-on. Haynes thought there might be a run there at the non-strikers end, but there's not. Sophie Eccleston picks up. Good decision to turn down the possibility of a run.
Absolutely. I feel like Haynes always thinks there's a run. Well, that's her default position, is that ready to go, ready to go.
Well, Beth Mooney can be a bit iffy, especially early on in an innings. Can cause a few heart palpitations. She made just 3 in the first innings. Raises the bat, Shrubsole bowls, and she drives this confidently to Catherine Brunt at mid-off. No run, and you can hear the voices in the English camp. They're up and running. Things have turned around. 1 for 4. And everyone, I know, coming into today was thinking, what sort of a declaration would Australia make? I made the point in the pre-game show, that's what England's thinking. They're cooked. They've got to come out here and bowl Australia out and really force the pace, and getting to within 40 in the first innings gives them the chance now.
Absolutely. I've got to say, I thought they were almost gone yesterday, really, looking at it. But
8 for 169.
Just to credit the way that they were able to compile those runs. They still kept the scoreboard ticking over in that partnership with Sophie Eccleston, and the cross came in as well. Heather Knight, unbelievable. They've given themselves a real chance.
So now it's Catherine Brunt, the indefatigable one. She bowls to Haynes. Struck on the pad. Shout, not out, says Eloise Sheridan. So doubt about whether it pitched in line with leg stump or not. Catherine Brunt was very enthusiastic, but she always is. She's having a chat with Heather Knight behind the stumps, and Heather turns her back on her.
She's turned her back, hasn't she?
Turned her back, start clapping the delivery, and Heather Brunt's not letting it go. Now she reluctantly turns round, goes back to her mark. Alex Hartley moves slightly further away from the open window. And no, pitched in line, might have been swinging too far. But that was a good shout.
Was a good shout. Maybe just swinging too much. But Knight didn't want a bar of that, did she? Well, she knew that she had to turn her back. Otherwise, Brunt's persistence and that eye contact and that enthusiasm might get her.
That was experience of long-time teammate, wasn't it? But Brunt looking very dangerous after 5 for 60 in the first inning. She's on her way. Bowls to Hayne, who goes back and places this nicely with a cut shot, just forward of point. The chaser's on. They have one. They come back for a second. The ball overhauled by Charlie Dean, who taps it back. And a bit of a miscommunication between she and a teammate out there in Sophia Dunkley nearly cost them another run, but they're all smiles now. 2 though to Rachel Haynes. She's 4, and Australia 1 for 6, leading by 46.
Yeah, a beautiful shot there by Rach. Takes a little bit of pressure off, doesn't it? Brunt's been right on the money, building a lot of pressure.
Lunch 14 minutes away, day 3, lights are on, it is overcast. But fine, let's hope it stays that way. Here's Brunt. Into Haynes on the pad, she tucks it away to short leg. Tammy Beaumont fields well, no run. Catherine Brunt did it up 3/4 of the way down the pitch with a hand in the air, indicating a near thing, but Rachel Haynes survives. This is a really awkward period, isn't it, before a lunch break with a new ball? And a team with their tail up.
Absolutely. And Brunt's got that hand in the air after every ball. This is what Australia lacked this morning when they took the ball. The ball wasn't a new one, it was 8 overs old, but they lacked that asking questions every ball.
Slips down, 2 of them, and a gully as Brunt bowls away with delivery down the leg side. Nice take by Amy Jones, diving to her right. And the score remains 1 for 6. Incidentally, in the lunch break, there will be grandstand at lunch. I'll be joined by Henry Moran and Kristen Beams. And Brett Sprigg will be down on the field, and so will you, Sarah. There's a little gathering of Australian cricket legends.
It's been a great opportunity, actually, to come up to this test match and see a whole heap of former teammates, former past players.
As Brunt is in again to Rachel Haynes, and this gets the outside edge, but it bounces on its way through to second slip, where it's fielded by Siva. No run.
There's so many stories, you know, in that group of women that have played for Australia before, and admittedly I haven't met a lot of these women, and it's been lovely in the break to go out and sit with them for some overs and talk about the history of the game and their time playing it. So yeah, it'd be nice to go down in that lunch break and
via Spriggy and your assistants, we hope to hear from 1 or 2 gathered down there. Plus there's the Belinda Clark medal being announced at lunch, and the Alan Border medal as Brunt and straight delivery defended by Haynes, and Beaumont moves to a right to pick up, and that ends the over. 2 runs off it. Australia is 1 for 6. Rachel Haynes is 4. Beth Mooney is 2 after Elisa Healy nicked off Catherine Brunt for a second ball duck to get a pair in this test match.
That's why we love test match cricket, isn't it? That theatre, that red new ball, that early wicket 15 minutes before the lunch break.
But even the moments, Sarah, where you think you just know what's happening in the game. And that's what it was at 8 for 169. You just knew where this game was going and would live through it in the men's Ashes series, that once England was down, there was rarely too much fight. But then Sophie Eccleston and Heather Knight. Heather Knight played the best innings I've seen all summer. I don't care what form of cricket. It was just the most incredible performance, given the circumstance. 168 not out. Shrubsole bowls to Mooney outside the off stump. Mooney shoulders arms. through it goes to Amy Jones. And cricket's been going for so many decades, and yet you can still be surprised. You can still, an hour after a swing in momentum, you can think, how did that all happen? It's so much fun.
It's real theatre to it, isn't it? I'm enjoying and appreciating the way Shrubsole's bowling here too, that bowling in partnership. She didn't come through with all the wickets in the first game, but she supports Brunt so well. They've done that for so many years, this opening partnership.
She's in again, well pitched up and punched back down the offside of the pitch, and Shrubsole picks up in her follow through. Kate in Kyneton is listening, and on the text 0467 920 222. I love listening to Sarah's commentary. Please, can we have more of her? Men's game's next. So Kate's a fan. Stixie?
Thank you, Kate. Love you lots, hey?
If you're listening in the UK, send an email, tms@bbc.co.uk. Shrubsole bowls to Mooney, who's forward defending, trickles away on the offside. And England, they're on their toes in the field, aren't they? Dunkley sprints in to ensure there's not even a thought of a run. And there wasn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Shrubsole's just quietly building pressure, and she's happy to contain, make scoring really, really difficult. Asking questions, that big swing, especially for the left-hander, and a full slips cordon, asking lots of questions, and then Brunt just attacking from the other end. It's a really threatening partnership.
It's a good question here on the SMS from Craig at Shepparton. She'll get to after this ball as Shrubsole bowls to Beth Mooney, who's on the drive. Can't beat Dunkley at point. Again, no run. Shrubsole right on the money. 1 for 6 Australia, leading by 46 runs. Craig says, heading to watch daughter's boyfriend play soccer, loving the commentary, especially Alex Hartley. Question for Rick. All 7 Aussie bowlers took a wicket. Has this ever happened before in men's or women's tests? I'd imagine it would have done, but it would be extremely rare, Rick. Any idea off the top of your head, or is this going to test into your database? As Shrubsole bowls to Mooney. Pusher, she wanted to tip and run. Greeted with a dead bat, but again, Dunkley comes in very quickly to pick up. Dot ball, 1 for 6.
I think there is a way of doing it. I just need to
stand
find
by.
out how. Yeah,
Craig,
take that on notice.
Craig, it's a good question.
I feel like those clouds are getting a little closer as the air temperature's dropped.
I think there's just a little sprinkle at the moment. Hearing there's some rain at nearby Belconnen, and anyway, these mountains can interfere with the progress of the clouds, and let's hope that happens, because this test is poised. Shrubsole bowls to Mooney, who punches it down the ground, beats a diving Eccleston at mid-on, and she doesn't even bother getting up off the carpet. The ball rolls away for 4. It was nicely played and just placed well enough by Beth Mooney, who moves on to 6. Australia 1 for 10, the lead to 50 at the end of the Anya Shrubsole over, and we have 8 minutes before lunch.
Just when you're starting to get excited by what England's doing with the ball and in the field and their opportunity, you're reminded pretty quickly by Beth Mooney the strength and the depth of the Australian batting lineup. It was a beautiful shot, and we saw the way Lanning, Haynes, McGrath, Gardner took the game on in the first innings, and they've got so much more depth than that. There's a lot to be encouraged about from Australian perspective as well, especially if they can navigate this period to lunch, and then maybe the first half an hour after lunch, what they might be able to do at that point to set the games up for themselves, to take a pretty amazing batting innings. It's possible.
Catherine Brunt bowls to Rachel Haynes, down the leg side, struck on the pad. They'll go through for at least a leg bye. It's 1 run anyway, and Eloise Sheridan will signal a leg bye. She does. So 1 for 11, the lead up to 51. And that will bring Beth Mooney on strike. Yeah, Rachel Haynes rarely looked trouble. I know she was dropped at 44, slashing at 1, put down by Nat Siver at second slip. Should have been taken. She ended up with 86 off 180 deliveries with 10 boundaries. And it was amazing after that partnership of 169 with Meg Lanning, they fell in back-to-back overs as Brunt bowls to Mooney this time. And she's greeted with a straight bat and pushed to mid-off. No run as Charlie Dean comes in from cover to pick up 1 for 11.
Yeah, so often that happens, isn't it? 1 wicket brings a second wicket, and that's where the game swings so dramatically. It's been a really testing little period here for the Aussies.
Now, Rick Finlay has come up with the answer to Craig's question of have we ever seen before in men's or women's test matches where all 7 bowlers have taken a wicket like happened for Australia. Here's Brunt. Bowls to Mooney, driving inside edge, but she'll get a run wide of mid-on. Diving save by Kate Cross. And Mooney will move on to 7, Australia along to 1 for 12. What did your database come up with?
Short, the answer is no.
Never happened.
12 times there have been 6 bowlers take a wicket.
Right.
This is the first time in women's tests, I haven't checked men's, but in women's test, that 7 bowlers have taken a wicket. And they were the only 7 bowlers that were used as well.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. History, Craig. If we can get an answer in the men's section, Rick will no doubt come up with that too. But first time ever. Again, you're seeing some history today. Love
it's very contrasted to the England innings, wasn't it, where we saw Brunt take 5 and Siva take 3. Big contribution from that household.
Yes. So Brunt, great personality, ridiculously strong competitor on the field. Bustles away in, bowls to Haynes, and it's caught at short leg, is it? Beaumont claims the catch, she's given out. Brunt gets her 7th for the game. She has 2 for 4. Rachel Haynes caught Beaumont, bowled Brunt for 4, and Australia 2 for 12, leading by 52. This game is absolutely beautifully poised.
She's looked threatening right from ball 1 today, hasn't she? Got slips in play for the swing, but then that well-positioned short leg. And a terrific catch there, just watching the replay by Tammy Beaumont diving to her left. Such quick reflexes to take a catch like that. What a big wicket. And a tricky little 5 minutes that we've got left here for Perry coming in.
So 2 down for 12. Remembering in the first innings, Australia was, 2 for 4 when Beth Mooney was out in the 4th over. This is the 5th over. At 2 for 12, Rachel Haynes 4 off 10 deliveries. And the great Elise Perry comes to the crease. Test batting average of 79. And she looked solid before she succumbed to a short delivery from Nat Siva for 18 in the first innings. And boy, what a big role for her to play after Rachel Haynes inside edge onto pad. And Tammy Beaumont instinctively lunged to the left and clutched onto it very cleanly to take the catch. And Catherine Brunt, that's now her 50th Test wicket.
What a great achievement for her. We know how few and far between Test matches are. She's been an outstanding bowler in all formats of the game.
It's a 14th Test, Sarah, and that's a great strike rate in any way you look at it.
Probably think she's got a couple more in her today as well.
So Elise Perry, 3.5 minutes before lunch. The lights are almost have taken over, the unnatural lighting, if you like. The rain is falling lightly as Brunt bowls to Perry. A dramatic backdrop, and she's backing across and pushes it to cover. No running, and Sophia Dunkley sprints in to pick it up. Oh, it's running, the going off. No.
That's not what we want.
Well, they'll take an immediate lunch, and so this stuff has 40 minutes to get out of our hair. Off for rain at 11:57. With Australia at 2 for 12. Who would have thought that at lunch on day 3, the way the test had gone for a day and 3/4, that Australia would be in a precarious position? 2 down, leading by 52. Maybe you'd have Australia slightly in front with those runs on the board, but the gap has just come in so exponentially.
Absolutely it has. It's been a fantastic test match, really it has. There's been some really key moments where the English have just been able to jump in. Heather Knight and Catherine Brunt leading the way. Their 2 most experienced players have really brought them back into this game.
Beth Mooney not out 7, and Elise Perry just survived that 1 ball. And we'll be grateful she did as the players come off the very next ball. So, what a day. With England resuming this morning at 8 for 235, still 102 behind, and even with that fight back late yesterday, Australia's still very much in the box seat. But the partnership between Sophie Eccleston and Heather Knight added another 34 runs this morning before Eccleston was LBW to Talia McGrath for 34 from 117 deliveries with 3 boundaries. A 100-run partnership with Heather Knight. It was 9 for 269. And then Kate Cross, who was dropped by Lisa Healy off Alana King on 3, finally holed out with a top-edge pull off Elise Perry to Darcy Brown, a deep backward square, and Cross out for 11 from 22 deliveries, but a very important 28-run partnership with Heather Knight for the 10th wicket. Heather Knight goes on to get her highest test score, 168 not out, 294 deliveries, 17 fours, 1 6. There were 19 extras and all that, 297. A 40-run first innings lead for Australia. Darcy Brown, 12 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 39. Elise Perry, 20 overs and 5 balls, 2 maidens, 3 for 57. Talia McGrath, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 35. Annabelle Sutherland, 21 overs, 5 maidens, 2 for 62. Alana King, 26 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 58. Jess Jonathan, 7 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 15. Ash Gardner, 9 overs, 1 for 27. The first time in women's Test cricket history that all 7 bowlers have taken a wicket each at least. Then Australia beginning its second innings leading by 40. Elisa Healy was out in the first over, caught by Amy Jones off Catherine Brunt for a second ball duck, an unwanted pair for the Australian keeper. Vice-captain Rachel Haynes nicking onto Tammy Beaumont at short leg, 1 ball before they went off for rain. Catherine Brunt getting his second wicket. Haynes out for 4, 2 for 12 in the 5th over. And it was Catherine Brunt's 50th Test wicket. And then they went off for rain 1 delivery later. Australia 2 for 12, leading by 52 runs with Beth Mooney on 7 from 16 deliveries. And Elise Perry survived the 1 ball she faced. And the bowling figures for England so far in this second innings, and only the 2 bowlers have been used. Catherine Brunt, 2 overs and 5 balls, no maidens, 2 for 4. So her match figures are 7 for 64. Anya Shrubsole bowled nicely, especially that second over, but no reward. 2 overs, none for 7. Australia leads by 52. They've lost 2 wickets. The rain started to come. Goodness me, where will we play Sarah Elliott?
It certainly has put Australia on the back foot, hasn't it? They can't now attack in the way that they needed to set the rain. They need to come back out and compose themselves, build a partnership, get themselves settled before then they're able to consider launching to set England a total. England, they just need to keep doing what they're doing and take some more wickets.
Stars of the game, there have been a number who have shown their skill right throughout, haven't there? We had Meg Lanning, Rachel Haynes, Ash Gardner, Talia McGrath with the bat for Australia in the first innings, and Catherine Brunt, the standout with the ball with the 5-wicket haul. Heather Knight just putting an exclamation mark on where she stands in English cricket and her importance to the game and her quality. And with the Australians, the excitement of Lana King and Annabelle Sutherland, 2 of the young guns, getting their first Test match wickets. Elise Perry rebounding with a much stronger performance with the ball over the last day and a bit, getting a 3-wicket haul. And now Catherine Brunt again. So we've had many individuals standing out through the course of these 2 and a bit days.
Oh, absolutely. It contributors sort of right across the board there. That's why we love Test cricket, and that's why I think the Australian public are getting behind the girls' Test cricket. It really has been drama, action-packed. It's been a great wicket, so full credit to the ground staff here. And there's still plenty more to come if we can keep this rain away.
And none of the players will want this, because they'll know, they'll be excited about the theatre of it, even though the Australian camp will be a lot less pleased than they have been earlier in the Test match, and they'll be asking some questions of each other at the moment, the way England has fought back, to their credit. But none of the players want this. They want this to see itself out, don't they?
Absolutely. Given that last India Test match was rained out, too many have been affected by the rain. So, no, absolutely both teams are wanting to play cricket here. Like Catherine Brunt said in her post-day interview yesterday, I believe she still believes that they could do it, and the Aussie camp will be exactly the same. They'll believe that they can win this game from this position.
Rick Finlay.
A couple of things, Andrew. On pairs in Test cricket, Healy's pair was Australia's 8th. The last was Alex Blackwell at Perth in 2013-14. And looking at 7 wicket takers in an innings in men's tests, there have been 4. The last was in New Zealand in 2005-06.
Okay, I would have been surprised had it not happened, but equally not surprised it's extremely rare. So 4 times in men's tests.
Many more tests, of course, have been played in the men's sphere than women's. So.
But that was the first time in women's. That's extraordinary. Yeah. All right, good on you, Rick. Enjoy your lunch, mate. And will with us this rain to go away. On the SMS, 0467 920 222. Vince says, Andrew, with the way the game's going, it'd be fantastic if we could go for 5 days. Well, I think you summed it up earlier today, Sarah. The words are done about that. Yep. It needs to happen.
Absolutely.
Tony, great commentary on the Ashes. Let's hear more from Sarah Elliott. Good on you, Tony. Mark says, wondering why Darcy Brown only bowled 12 overs. Does seem they're still managing her workload a little bit.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? You've got to ask questions when she bowled well in the first innings, she's bowling with good pace, and we really needed a breakthrough wicket. So there seems to be a bit of management going, knowing what's ahead with that one-day World Cup.
Andrew, how can you say Australia's in the box seat, England all over us? Rain is Australia's chance of drawing this game. Well, I said they were in the box seat. Now, I think it's very evenly poised.
Changed within the space of sort of 15 minutes, hasn't it? The Australians will still be confident. Either team will be pretty happy at the minute, reasonably thinking that they've still got a big chance, which is great to see because we've seen too many test matches that aren't in that position.
So lunch has been taken here at Manuka Oval in Canberra, and we've got, for ABC listeners, news coming up. Henry will be here for listeners on TMS, and then everyone will be together for grandstand at lunch, and Spriggy will be under the brolly down there with Sarah, trying to catch up with an Aussie legend or two. We'll have the Alan Border medal named and the Belinda Clark medalist named as well, and Henry will be here for that, and former Australian league spinner Kristen Beams. Australia at lunch, 2 for 12, leading by 52 runs. We'll be back for grandstand at lunch.
Thank you very much indeed, Andrew. What a morning it has been, Alex Hartley. We've had some fun watching that. The rain is falling. That's just given us a chance to catch our breaths a little bit. But England, from the position they were last night at 169 for 8, this is an extraordinary turnaround.
It is. It's a shame it's raining. I know they've taken an early lunch, but it is meant to rain for a while. Which brings the question in, why is there not a fifth day? And it's the question that we keep asking ourselves. It's going to be frustrating, but England have got themselves into a brilliant position. Captain Heather Knight, absolutely outstanding with the bat. And the veteran Catherine Brunt with the two early wickets.
If we look back at that England innings, the way that it played itself out, there were horrible moments in there. 120 for 6, 150 for 7, that 169 for 8. But they put on 100 runs for that 9th wicket between Sophie Eccleston and Heather Knight. And Eccleston's 34 from 117 balls. Not as valuable in terms of runs as Heather Knight's innings of 168 not out, of course. But in terms of the momentum, it is a huge performance there.
Just showed maturity from Sophie Eccleston, and she can bat. She's a very good batter, but she looked solid. She got out playing an average cricket shot, which she'll be incredibly frustrated with. It actually looked like she was going to get her maiden Test 50, but Talia McGrath with the fuller delivery, we saw her bowl that quite a lot in the T20s and had its effect there, and she's done the same in the Test match today. But Sophie Eccleston can be really proud of herself because she stuck there with the captain while the captain got her 100, and then while the captain got her 150, and that's a real proud moment for Sophie Eccleston.
Heather Knight on the field for all but 13 balls of this Test match so far, and despite walking off having faced close to 300 deliveries, she was straight back out there to captain the side when England were bowling again.
I know, somebody give that girl a rest. Just let her put her feet up. I hope that she's got her shoes off, socks off, on the physio bed during this lunch break, just having some food and having a little rest, because her body will be tired. But that's why, as captain, she sets the standard with fitness. She's constantly pushing herself, constantly looking to improve, and that's when it matters. Games like this, situations like this, as captain, you've been out there for the whole bowling innings, and bar 13 balls of the batting innings. That's why she's one of the fittest in the team.
Australia, in theory, a 12, well, in actuality a 12 for 2, in theory a 52 for 2 because of the lead that they hold going into the second innings. England will know the door is creeping open, but they can't afford to take that foot off the gas at all.
Yeah, another couple of quick wickets after lunch or after the rain delay, and they'll be right in this game. 52 for 2, they'd have taken that, starting 40 runs behind, getting 2 early wickets, and also we saw Catherine Brunt's celebration. Healy on a pair. Healy not scored a run in this Test match meant so much to these England girls, and getting Haynes as well in the way that they did. It was a fantastic catch by Tammy Beaumont. Haynes scored runs in that first innings for Australia, so now we've got two exceptional batters at the crease, but they're going to have to take early wickets.
Anya Shrubsole and Catherine Brunt took the new ball, as you would expect. Sophie Eccleston with the bat we've spoken about. Sophie Eccleston with the ball has an important role to play, and I know you weren't that impressed with how she went in the first innings because she just didn't look herself.
Bit harsh, but no, she was a disappointment in the first innings. I think the world's best white ball bowler, you'd expect to be able to hold up an end for you, and I know she was probably disappointed with the way she went about things, but it was one of those, you expect her to be able to just put the ball on a tempi piece time and time again, but she just couldn't do that, couldn't get her lengths right, which was unfortunate for England because Eccleston didn't cause much pressure like we saw Alana King do for Australia, and that's the role that they both need to play. So one of those for Sophie Eccleston, but she's got another chance to rectify that in this innings.
Rain coming down in front of us at Manuka Oval, and we know that any moment taken out of the game is a reduction in the likelihood that we'll get a positive result one way or the other. But there is still the potential here for results to go the way of either England or Australia, because England will know if they can take quick wickets. Suddenly they'll be chasing, well, whatever it'll be. Australia will know once they get England out there batting, if they can get a lead of 150 going into the final day, say, could be really interesting.
It could, and Australia want to win this Test match. They want to win an Ashes Test match at home as well, so they'll be looking to push for that victory. They don't have to win the game as much as England need to win the game. Yes, if this is a draw, England can still win the Ashes if they win all 3 ODI games, but Australia are in a stronger position points wise in this table, so it's one of those. Australia will want to win, so if Australia gets some runs on the board, we'll be expecting a declaration from them.
Play after lunch is not due for another 5 minutes. That won't be happening. So Henry will stick around with Kristen Beams and Alex Hartley, at least in the short term, and hopefully there'll be more positive news to report because this game is so well placed. Australia in its second innings at 2 for 12 with Beth Mooney on 7, Elise Perry yet to score. Elisa Healy gone for a duck. Rachel Haynes for 4. Catherine Brunt has 2 for 4, 7 for 64 in the match. After England bravely made 297 thanks to Heather Knight's 168 not out.
The rain has been falling. The good news is I think it's clearing up just a little bit. It is still a bit drizzly out there, but the weather has been coming from the west, and everything there, you can now see what's on those hills. It is no longer just a sludge of grey, Alex Hartley.
Yeah, but it's still wet, isn't it? It's still very much raining. But it is brighter. It's not got my sunglasses out just yet, so we're not at that level.
No, but we are looking hopeful that we will see a resumption at some stage. Looking at the radar, there was a horrible big splodge of rain. We knew it was coming. It was just whether it was going to last for the entire afternoon or whether we might see some more cricket. So hopefully we will do so here on ABC Grandstand and Test Match Special across Australia and across the UK, and as we know, across the world, with people getting in touch from all over the place. This weather is about as frustrating as it could be, isn't it? Because we are set up beautifully.
This certainly has been the best Test match I can remember for a long time, girls or boys side of things, and it really is poised. It could go either way. We thought England were out of it, and they've turned the corner. They've brought things around. They're on equal footing now. It could go either way.
It's frustrating is what it is, because for the players especially, they're all sat in the dugouts just waiting for the rain to stop. They want to be out there. They've put on a really good show over the last couple of days, and it's a shame that the weather's getting in the way yet again in this Ashes series.
Yeah, it's really frustrating as we look out. It is still raining, but not a huge amount, so we will hope that the ground staff will be tending to those ground sheets in the next 20 minutes or so. That'll be the hope, because it is raining, but it's not raining an awful lot. The lack of a breeze is a little bit problematic, but we'll wait and see how we go, and hopefully we'll have an update for you before too long. The rain is still falling. The floodlights stand rather solemnly shining down, but on nothing more than a few ground covers and one very lonely steward underneath a poncho, looking as though they're not terribly happy with their Saturday afternoon. But there we go. It is one of those things. We knew it could be a bit like this today, and the question now is whether we're going to be able to see a result in this game. A colleague at the BBC who's looking after the live website reports, Matt Henry, whose work you can read at bbc.co.uk/sport. We've been in conversation with him, and he is trying to go through, between us, work out how a result might be possible. He makes a good point, and that is, even if Australia were to score at 3s for 50 overs tomorrow, they'd only be 200 ahead. And so they're going to get a result, really, they're going to have to, give England at absolute most 40 overs, more likely 30 overs, to try and bowl them out and get a result, Kristen Beams.
And they'll also be considering that Catherine Brunt is bowling unbelievably well, and what the conditions of the wicket are going to be like underneath the covers, what it's going to be like tomorrow. I think they're going to be a little bit conservative early on, because they can't afford to be another 2 or 3 wickets down and then all of a sudden be in a position where they have to jam on the handbrake and say, right, we're just going to try and shut up shop. So we actually want them to try and get the game moving, but I think they will be conservative early on tomorrow.
You seen the weather forecast for tomorrow?
Go on, Alex.
Rain.
Well, no, that's... I want detail. I don't want this vagueness.
Rain tomorrow.
Full stop.
Wet rain.
As opposed
Covers
to...
on, rain tomorrow.
Really, all day?
Yep.
Because I saw it was only between 0 and 3 millimetres, whereas today was between 10 and 30.
Rain's rain in cricket though, isn't it? If it's raining, you can't play.
Kristen, I don't know about you, but I don't need this negativity in my life.
I feel like that cut me a little bit because I thought we were just optimistically chatting about what was going to happen tomorrow. We're going to have 100 overs, and then I feel like Alex Hartley's just punched me in the face with that.
Sorry, I'm in a really bad mood because this game was set up so nicely and the day's been ruined and everyone's going to be saying it should be 5 days, but it's going to rain tomorrow, so 5 days wouldn't have made a difference.
Can I just say, at 3:25 local time on January the 29th, I'm declaring that never again can we moan about English weather at cricket grounds.
Oh, we will?
No. We've seen 2 games washed out in Adelaide. We've come to Canberra and it's poured with rain to ruin the match.
Is this the summer? Is this the middle of the Australian summer?
Yes, yeah. I think it's summer from the 1st of December, I think, is start of the summer. But we generally get good weather at the back end of our summer in terms of no rain. So it's usually nice into March, April. So the good weather, well, it stays a little bit, but I'm disappointed with the weather as well.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say that
we know it has been an unusually wet summer because of various conditions around the world, and Canberra has had an unusually wet time of it. Very green in Canberra at this time of year. As we look around, actually, the trees are very verdant and full of life, and normally you might expect things to be a little bit dustier at this time of year, but it's the way that it goes, and sometimes, Alex, we have to accept it. But what we will rail against is anyone saying that we've brought the weather with us, because that old saying can absolutely go.
We'll keep saying it because we're that sort of people.
But next time Australia come to England, we can say, "Oh, you brought the weather with you," when it rains, because England women have had more games rained out in Australia in their past 5 games than they have in the past 5 years in England.
Yeah, their past 5 games in Australia are all been rain affected.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no, that one T20 wasn't, in fairness. Right then, are we going to get more play today? I'm going to say no, probably. We think that this could be called as soon as within the next sort of 35 minutes or so. So as and when we do get any news as to whether we're going to see any play or not, we will let you know. There are people in the stands still hoping against hope there'll be some more action. And I think they're playing Always Take the Weather With You, actually, Alex.
Well, it's apt, isn't it? But we don't want to take the weather. This weather can go away. But I'm going to sound really stupid here. But
please do.
I don't get rain. I don't get it. Because once the clouds are empty, there shouldn't be any rain left.
Yeah, but how long do you give them?
I don't understand why it's still raining. It's been raining for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
How are the clouds not empty?
Because the clouds still... It's like when you pour a glass of water, it's not immediately as soon as any of it comes out empty, is it?
Goes pretty quick.
And the clouds are also moving, and so the clouds...
They should be empty is what I'm saying. We've got a test match to play.
I know. It's a matter of time before somebody comes up with a solution to this. It's like, I remember there was a Paul McCartney concert in Moscow about 20 years ago, and they did something, they put something in the air which stopped it raining.
They have to create their own rain in Dubai, don't they?
Yeah.
Because it rains that little.
So there are ways of doing it, or you just play everything at that Docklands Stadium in Melbourne.
Yeah, well, drop-in wicket there. I think that would be the challenge with Test cricket a little bit. But some of the drop-in wickets have been very good in other states in Australia. But that would be a way forward.
How do they take drop-in wickets into a ground?
They're carried by a small army of ants. I don't know, actually.
Who also look after the rain out of the clouds.
I'm looking at the radar now, and the good news is I've got slightly better with my Australian geography. The bad news is that map in front of us gives us no...
I can't see where Canberra is.
Exactly. So even though my geography is a little bit better, it is absolutely no use at the moment because it's just underneath a huge splodge of blue and orange and horribleness. So we think that we're probably not going to see any more play today. And in fact, I can see one of the umpires heading out underneath an umbrella
in the distance to have a little look at what I don't know, other than it's a bit wow. And but it's part of the process.
Do you know how we normally say get the game on?
Yeah.
I just don't think that's going to happen today, so just call it off.
I think they're going in the direction of the curators, and I think they're going to wander over and ask about how long it would take them to prepare, as in, can we call it off now? That's my gut feel.
Yeah.
Still raining. Umpires are now walking off the field under the umbrella. They'll go over to Meg Lanning and Heather Knight and tell them to pack their kit, see you tomorrow morning. And we'll get details of what time play will start tomorrow, how many overs are available on the final day, and all of that, with Australia leading by 52 at 2 for 12. Sarah Elliott, as we wait for the confirmation of the news, we've known probably for 2 hours now that we're not going to get any more play today. Your reading of the state of play in this game and where we've progressed, and will there be any chance of a result, so we get 110, 115 overs tomorrow?
Yeah, the game was really in the balance when we've come off, haven't we? England, superb fight back, led by Knight, and then Brunt with the ball as well. So the game very much in the balance. Both teams will do a lot of talking within their camps overnight about how they can possibly set up a game. It's going to be extremely difficult. We know there's potentially some more weather around tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get 110 overs in. You'd think that Australia need to bat for the majority of those. The hard thing is they've already lost those early wickets, so they're already on the back foot. They're not really they can't come out in an attacking sort of fashion. England's job's really easy. They just need to get the Aussies out as quickly as they can. And Brunt's been bowling really well, so they'd like to think that they're a chance. It's going to be tough.
It's also in Australia's interest, to draw. You know, they draw this test match, they've got good points on the board, and going into the ODIs where England would then have to win every single one of them.
That's Alex Hartley, by the way, still with us, hanging through the rain delays. Meg Lanning has been spoken to, Heather Knight has been spoken to, and Heather Knight's now got her pads under her arms and she's heading up through the race. Hopefully Henry Moran will be able to have a chat to Heather Knight very, very shortly. We've got some news coming through. Just bring that phone in, Spriggy. That'll be the easiest way. Play has been called off for the day and will resume at 9:30 tomorrow morning. There you go.
I was covering the TV screen because I'm sat on the table.
Yes, you're a wonderful, wonderful champion. So there you go. Play officially called off and will resume at 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Do you know what? I just wanted to keep you guessing. You know, we've been guessing for the last 3.5 hours. So I thought, why not an extra couple of minutes?
The beauty is, though, Sarah, and I think I might do what Henry does. I'm just going to turn my back on Alex for a minute. All the guessing has been correct. This is one time we never wanted to be correct, that a play would be called off, start early tomorrow, and away we'll go, and we can just hope for good weather tomorrow. Yeah,
absolutely. The weatherman got it correct, anticipated it would come around lunchtime, and it sure did. But hopefully tomorrow he might be wrong and we get a whole day's playing.
Well, they were wrong yesterday, which is giving me a bit of hope.
Well, that's why I thought we'd get a full day in today, that they'd continue their track record of being wrong. But no, today the Bureau was spot on. Unfortunately, with their weather forecast, Rick Finlay, who hasn't left his seat, by the way, we haven't had any play since 11:57. It's now 4:18 and 34 seconds local time. And Rick, the best analyser, statistician in the business, hasn't left his pew. Rick, what was the action we ended up seeing today?
We saw 23.4 overs, 74 runs and 4 wickets.